would love to hope in the back of my mind that potentially the effect and impact that this has had on schools might actually maybe shift the balance of the standardized testing, et cetera.
Well, standardized testing actually still is very useful because it doesn't. No. It does. The thing is, SAT scores equate very closely with IQ scores, which very closely correlate with success in life.
Well, yeah, I get that. I'm talking about how they
Yeah, I see.
teach to the
Oh, got
test
it.
to get
Basically,
funding.
boilerplating
Right.
it. Yeah.
Teach the test to get funding, and
Whereas the SAT in a vacuum is a fine concept.
Right. Because I mean, I grew, when I was going to, elementary and junior high, we used to take the CAT test, right? And it was cool, but it wasn't like the end all be all. It was just a matter of, now we'll know how smart everybody is as a group kind of thing. We'll know where we stand, but it wasn't, I mean, it was just, you knew about it like a week before. They were like, oh, we'll be taking CAT tests on this day. And then that day gets there and they're like, here, take this test. And then, okay, let's get back to work. As opposed to now where they're outside with bullhorns and doing cheers and songs about passing the test. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Look, the problem is they haven't evolved the teaching methods with what gets kids interested these days, which is
the
technology.
federal 30-day.
They need to integrate more technology into the classroom, which would also.
We still got
what
2
with
more
that
weeks
is
of
number
that,
two,
right? At least.
Yeah, it would start leading to a situation.
Look, I've got no
where
idea how long my butt is.
Are naturally talented.
Off stream, you guys
or
know
have
a
some
little
other
bit about what I do.
structure,
And
though
I
more
work
likely
for.
it's due to
Right.
natural talent. Will succeed faster than others, and the Marxist utopia of everyone equal, it gets shattered. And basically what forms is natural society. 80% of the success exists within 20% of the population.
Right. Well,
it's a number that has existed everywhere. It exists in physics with the distribution of matter and energy. It exists within animal populations. It exists within plant populations, for God's sake. 80% of the fruit that is grown in plants comes from 20% of the seeds that were originally planted.
Well, me. I'm still a fan of get rid of the standardized testing and open up the trade school option to high schoolers.
I love the trade school option. I like elements of the German model. If somebody's not super good at academics, but they want to work with their hands and learn how to be a mechanic or a plumber or a carpenter, go right ahead. Go, do it, man.
You will create middle class citizens with trade schools.
Exactly.
That's what'll happen.
Yeah. And also, one thing I would love to see is a cutback on the world history that they keep pushing more towards. Let's learn more American history and learn more American civics. Can we please teach people
civics?
What the hell our law is, please?
There's too many laws to teach anybody anymore.
Well,
without a poli-sci degree.
Well, I have a solution.
Yeah.
Trump Paul 2020, Paul Trump 2024.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I would be curious. I would be curious to find out if you took if you took the statistics, looked at the statistics of take air conditioning companies, plumbing companies, auto mechanic companies, and go back to the origins of those companies and see how many of those people that founded those companies actually came from a trade school environment versus back when trade schools were a thing, some of these a lot of these companies were probably rooted there.
It depends on how big the companies were. Because the thing is, if you go back to the history of, I know American firearms companies better and a lot of actually international firearm companies because I enjoy Forgotten Weapons and Sea and Arsenal. I love their series on old weapons, and I like getting that history. If you actually look back at some of the biggest firearms companies like Remington, Colt, they started with guys that were basically machinists. Same thing with Steyr. Same thing with FN, which was a consolidation of multiple Belgian smaller companies. And if you look at the history of American companies, you don't see a lot of people that went to college. You see, and even worldwide, you see a lot of guys putting resources together to build bigger. Sure, you've got your Rockefellers that crop up, but they're the exception, not the rule.
Well, and I'm not talking. I guess I look at like there's a plumbing company here. Ironically, the guy's name is Frank Gay Plumbing, right?
Yeah.
It's a very old company,
So,
but
so Mr. Gay likes to lay pipe.
right. But I look at companies like that, and I'm thinking more mom and pop, but long life companies that have been around. How many of those might have actually been started by someone who went to a trade school back in the day when trade schools were a good thing and accepted by our society.
Or
Hi,
even
Harvey.
before that, when it was apprenticeship, where you basically got a very minimal education at a trade school, usually supported by the local, plumbers union, and then from there you were. Hello.
Can I cut into this conversation for a second?
Cut in.
So this is a person who's been on my show a couple times. You're all familiar with Harvey McLeod and her mysterious falling webcam going on over there. Harvey, tell us a bit about yourself.
Hi, Harvey.
Hi. I'm hearing a lot of echo going on. Someone needs to put their headphones in.
I've got mine in.
Yeah, we've all got headphones in.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I just heard myself, and it sounds really bad. Well, wait, all
Try
right.
now.
Yeah, stream muted?
That's good. Yep, that's good.
All right.
All right, so hi. Yeah, my name is Harvey McLeod. I've been streaming a lot of stuff since, 2017, and I was playing Fallout New Vegas once, and Ed liked the stuff that I talked about, so he invited me on the show.
Nice.
And I see a Zelda reference in the lower left corner.
Oh, really? You
Yes.
don't say. Is that right? How neat.
Yep.
Yes, that's my Majora's Mask, and that's my piano right there.
Oh, you
Uh-oh.
play?
Yeah, I was playing
Another
some Final Fantasy IV. Yeah, I'm not a very good musician.
No?
No, I need a teacher.
Nobody tell Steven.
He'll be back here
Yeah.
in probably just a bit here. I should
said,
probably
yeah,
need to
probably-
be watching for him.
Another 15 minutes or so, probably. Yeah.
Are you, Harvey? Is your stream mostly just a gaming stream, or?
Yeah, I do cooking streams as well.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
From a cooking background, or like an education, or just general love of it?
Just like cooking, and I like talking. You either get busy talking or you get busy dying.
But now you don't talk while you're eating, right? Because that's just,
Not on camera.
See, John, take note.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So Harvey, how are you surviving the coronavirus, as it were?
Well, what's really great is I used to live in Las Vegas, and I just moved back to Silicon Valley in January. So I was working remotely out of the office here for 3 years, and then as soon as I got back, they told me, okay, go back to working remote again. And I live just down the street from the office, so it's not too much of a change, except now I have a new team, so all my contacts and processes are different. So it's been a learning curve. It's like relearning how to work from home, but I kind of like it.
Do you like working from home more so than working out in the public sector?
I liked working from home and that I didn't have to talk to people. But now that I don't have the option to go out if I wanted to, that makes me want to go out even more.
No, it really sucks right now, but
Yeah.
later I'll be okay with it again. But right now, it really
Yeah,
sucks.
exactly. It's when you tell me that I can't, but
Right.
I liked working remotely in Orange County and Las Vegas because the views were really nice. But here I have a window all the way up there, so I can't look out the
Holy
window.
crap!
Yeah.
You call that a window? I call that a skylight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a window right over there, but all closed up.
Mine's over there.
All right. Now we know everyone's
Yeah, but I
window
think-
locations.
See, well, hey, if it helps, I don't have a single fucking window in this office.
That's
so,
true. There's not.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, Rob. It
you
looks like you're in a
people-
bunker.
You people are. It's hey, guy's got to do what he's got to do.
Yeah.
So where are the cans of beans?
Hey, I
don't
have
eat
mine in
beans.
just a bag. I do the soakable beans.
I don't eat beans at all, ever. No.
His
No
wife
beans.
thanks him.
Yeah.
I'm fortunate. She does not like beans either.
I like
All right,
beans.
well, where's the rice?
Okay, then where's the bag? Yeah, I was gonna say where's the bags of rice?
Actually, there is a ton of rice, pasta, and potatoes in the house in cool, dry places. And of course,
Okay.
we've got vegetables growing in the back. So, you know.
You live in Florida. Where is there a cool, dry place anywhere?
Well, no.
You're surrounded on
like,
three sides by ocean.
No, you can. You just, you can just run your air conditioner a lot, and it kind of balances everything out. And don't ever open anything to the outside, and the humidity stays good.
So what you're telling me is every Floridian home has an airlock.
Yeah, pretty much.
It should, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because no, it is tough because some mornings you do get up and you go walking through your house and you're like, am I walking or am I swimming? I mean, it's like, which way am I going? I got to turn the air on. As soon as you turn the air on, though, it really does equalize it out. But that's Florida. It's a wonderful place.
Oh,
Hey,
God.
the upside is the weather. I have to say the great thing about it is the weather is perfect for being able to grow shit year round. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, my wife will be like, oh, I'm going to plant this. And I'm like, you're going to plant that now. She planted, like this past year, she planted carrots in like November. Right?
Nice.
Right? Who does that, right? And they were ready to go by January-ish. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Welcome
Not
to
gonna
winter.
lie. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to be relocating to a more secure location.
Oh,
Define more secure.
Gated ranch community, 40 minutes outside of a metropolitan area.
Is this the you were talking about moving? Is that correct? Yeah.
Well, okay. The move to a new condo, that is much later on in the year.
Oh, okay.
Once my lease is up here.
Gotcha.
What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be relocating to my parents' place where my brother already is, and just going to dig in there with them.
So you're going to be another 20-something millennial moving in with his parents. That's what you're telling me.
Yet I'm still going to be maintaining an apartment.
That doesn't sound like social distancing.
yeah.
I have literally
That's like
spent
the opposite of what you're supposed to do.
I have spent 2 weeks in isolation. They have spent 2 weeks in isolation. We're fine.
So far.
See, the upside for me is most of my family, I'm like, no, you fuckers stay in isolation. I'm staying in isolation. No,
Am I like the only one
really,
here who
stay
has
there.
a good relationship with his parents or something?
No, I do.
Okay.
I do.
Okay.
I just don't want to live with them.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we have a good
Okay.
relationship now.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me put this more simply. My father has whiskey and cigars.
Oh, now it's understandable. Gotcha.
Yeah.
You're going there for essentials.
He's going over there
No,
to
for
spread
critical.
communism.
No, for
For
critical.
what it is.
For
Take
critical
someone
supplies.
else's.
Spreading communism.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Britt. How are you doing?
Hi guys. Hi.
Hey, Britt.
Did you get all that
Hello.
mommy? Did you get all your momminess out of your system?
Yeah, that's it. I'm good for the year. So
Hey, look, now we have 2 California people on the stream.
oh, hey, hi Harvey. I heard you just moved here. So
Yeah, I moved back. I used to live in San Jose back in 2016.
okay.
Moved to- Yeah.
Did you grow up in California?
No, I'm from Texas.
Oh, so yeah. I
Oh.
apologize for our people.
I escaped
It's okay. I married
California.
one of y'all.
I escaped. I'm never going back. Look, if they're looking for bomber pilots, I'm the first volunteer.
Hey, if motion picture industry doesn't come back pretty quick, we might be moving out of California. So
Recommendation: San Antonio's beautiful.
I have
yeah.
a lot of my family lives in Tiki Island, so I'm not sure exactly where that is in Texas, but I'm thinking it looks like a good place. So
I'm guessing it's coastal.
If it's Texas.
yeah.
Recommendation: pack up that scruffy ginger and his wife, and we'll take you in over here. Yeah, I just found out, and obviously, since they don't know my family, there's no docs here. But Britt actually lives like right around the corner from my cousin.
I do, and I am good friends with your cousin now.
Yeah.
So we talk every day. So
Nice.
Aw, it's so
Well-
sweet.
It is. It's very nice to
Okay.
have a friend out here that
Let's
I
see.
can agree with on things.
Tiki Island is nearby Houston, by the way.
Okay.
Ah, nice.
Yeah.
I was
So-
born in that area,
Yeah.
in the
Okay.
Houston area.
Yeah.
So
So I want to float the question that I've asked everybody else who's been on the stream except for Matt, because the live chat kind of took his questions from him. But what do you see happening with the telecommute thing as far as the nuclear family goes? If telecommuting becomes the new thing that everybody's doing, how do you see that affecting the nuclear family?
Was that to me?
No, that was to Harvey.
Oh, okay. Well, I think as far as maybe not even just family, but in general, in the work process in general, I think now that telecommuting has been implemented for everybody, people can see how work is getting done if it doesn't hold up efficiency. I think there's going to be a lot more people working from home. You know, it's going to work a lot better. Maybe it might work a lot better for some families that are that wish they could spend more time with their children, because this isn't just work that's going to be affected. It's also school that might be affected as well. Like maybe more parents will decide to teach their children from home. It's still pretty early to tell, but if people can acclimate better or can acclimate well to the telecommute, I think a lot of companies are going to start letting their workers telecommute, because it's not going to be as big of a drain on their resources, like upkeeping an office, renting out a bunch of office space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, theoretically, you'll need fewer supervisors to do the same work. You can have one supervisor handling 2 or 3 times as many employees instead of needing a supervisor on every row of like a cube farm.
And then think of the commutes.
Yeah,
not only that,
rush hour.
Not only that, but companies will probably, because of this, they'll probably say, "Hey, we don't have to pay our employees as much, so new jobs might not have to pay as much because people will be at home. They won't expect as much as well." Just because.
Well, I think economically it will be better for the country. I think environmentally it'll be better for the country, and I think from the simple standpoint of just general stupidity, it'll be better for this country as well. Just take people, keep them at home. Just keep people at home and let them work. I mean,
actually,
well, I've been saying that for years. Like every morning when I would sit in traffic, in commuter traffic, take 45 minutes to get to work, I was thinking, why do so many people need to go to an office to do what they do? Because I don't need to be in an office every day.
It's basically the older managers of the company not trusting the employees to get the work done, assuming they're going to just goof around at home.
Well, fair enough, but then they would notice pretty dang quickly that work wasn't getting done. Like with my job, they would know right away, like, okay, Harvey, how come this hasn't been done yet?
I'm call center. They'll know very quickly if I'm not doing my job.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it might increase turnover at companies until they, lock down the employees that are going to sit down in front of their computer and do the work consistently and regularly. And all those that aren't, go fucking bag some groceries or make some burgers out in the real world and let those that want to do the work get to the business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
Hi, Jessica.
Yes,
Hi.
Jessica Green has come back as well.
It's interesting where I came back to, because my husband and I were just talking about how his company is having them telecommute, and they're mandating that their employees take their 1 week of their 2-week vacation before June 30th. And we were trying to figure out the reason why they might mandate that. And his suggestion was that they thought that maybe people were using the time as a vacation more than as teleworking, and that they were losing productivity. And I said, well, why then would they mandate you take more time off? That didn't make sense. So we couldn't really work out why they would do that. But it is an unusual move. And
it sounds like they want you to use up that time, because in case some of the work is not getting done and they have to can you, then they don't have to pay out that vacation time for you to do anything.
Another reason could be tax related. I do know that their tax breaks can be given in regards to that stuff, and companies going like, well, we got to pinch some pennies here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's actually interesting. I'll bring that to him as soon as I get back there.
I haven't been loving how some companies have been handling this, and I'll use the big box retailer that I'm most familiar with. it's this idea that if you call work and say, "Oh, I'm running a 100 degree temperature. I'm not going to come into work," they immediately say, "Oh, good, you're using your PTO." Whereas if you come to work because you don't want to lose your time, you come to work with that 100 degree, and then they have to send you home, then they have to be accountable for paying you for that time where they forced you to go home.
Or
And
worse off, if you collapse in the middle of your shift and they have to put it on workman's comp at that point.
right.
And I would encourage people to check with their state and their local HR. I worked in HR for about 15 minutes, and I've had all the jobs, but there's a lot of times you can't do that. You can't force a employee to take PTO, just like you can't force them if they take an extra day of vacation to make them take sick pay
Right.
and out of that time. So it depends on the state. It depends on also your industry. So I would really encourage people to like question that and look at if that's even legal, because employers do it all the time. They just decide like, this is what we're going to do. And I'm not saying they shouldn't be able to. I'm just saying work within the system you're in.
Right. Well, I know that here in Florida, it's a right to work state. Everything defaults to that when it's all said and done. But yeah, it's this idea that, well, you're calling into work. So they're using that very specific technicality to default to, oh, you're calling out, then that qualifies as PTO. If we send you home, yeah, it's on us. But if you're going to call in, doing the right thing by calling in, you're taking PTO because you're opting to take time off from work. Because there have been some reports of this same big box retailer having employees who said, at work saying, I'm not feeling great. And the management kind of backing off of me like, okay, well, whatever, but not sending them home because they didn't want to carry the liability. And they would rather those people say, I'm going to go home. Okay, well, then we can count it as PTO because they're more worried about their individual store's bottom line.
Well, these stores are pretty much razor thin bottom lines at this point. Amazon has completely gutted them of profits.
I would beg to differ. I mean, some of these stores are turning in. Wyatt was in earlier in his grocery store. He said they turned in. He's working at a grocery store. They're turning record profits right now.
Grocery store is not big box retail.
Yeah, no, he's right.
His is a national chain grocery store.
That is very different than a big box electronics store.
Target or
no. Big box retailer is that I'm talking about. Their primary business right now is grocery.
Yeah,
and they are still making hand over fist money like they were before this virus.
Yeah, and those big box companies, that is going to be a lot of bad press in a very short period of time, leading to upper management going, just give them some time off because we really don't want to lose.
Do bear in mind that this is a company that's used to bad press.
Yeah.
I mean, the WM knows about bad press.
That one.
Yeah,
sorry,
that one.
I live in a state with HEB, which, from what I understand, is actually a pretty good company.
Yeah, that's actually Wyatt kind of doxed himself, and that's who he said he's working for in Texas is HEB, and he said they're doing great numbers.
Yeah. Look, I used to work at a grocery store in California. It was a small regional market, only 3 stores when I left them, and they were somehow able to keep stocked almost through the entire first week of the panic buying. It was amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, and too, I mean, you look at some of the other places around here. The Lowe's and the Home Depot are kind of falling a little bit behind the wayside here in Wisconsin, but our local equivalency to them, Menards, is pulling money in hand over fist by themselves.
Yeah.
And it's I think the little bit of irony there is that places like Home Depot and Lowe's, all these hardware and home improvement stores, they're making some good money right now because people are at home and they're like, well, I guess I need to fix this shit.
Also, don't forget
I turn my home into a mansion.
Right? And then not to mention that there's more use, more consistent usage of everything in the house. So yeah, your washing machine is getting used more and breaking down and everything. So, this is actually driving more business to those companies as well.
I would think your washing machine would get used less because you're not going outside with clothes. Wear the same one a couple times.
But think about it. Wash everything. Wash constantly. Keep things clean. So people are doing the same
I'm
thing
not
with their
doing that.
laundry. Well, yeah, but I mean, it's the panic people. The people that are just like overly OCD about it. Wash everything. I mean, it's crazy. People.
I mean, I do have when my
down.
husband comes in from work, I do have him like kick off his shoes and stuff downstairs, and I'm like, just put that in the washing machine and then come up and take a shower. Yeah, he gets a decontamination procedure.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's because he's coming from outside, though.
Yeah, he's been
in home all the time.
Yeah, he's been in the outdoors, so I need him to like shower and decontaminate because he's not bringing the corona in here.
So would I be wrong in saying that this might be the great time to start a company that builds entryway decontamination chambers where you walk in your door and get clean, sterilized, and then on into your house? It'd take up a 3-foot space right there in your doorway.
I'm your target audience right there.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I think we could make a couple of bucks off that.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, and Jake from Freedom Scoop. He is a contractor. We could. We've got all the things that we need to put in place. Who wants in? I need your investment money.
I ain't giving you money.
In the live chat saying I do it too.
Look. If you've got this great idea, I've got some land to sell you.
Hey, because I could use some and get the fuck out of this big town. I'm just there with you.
Yep.
Oh, look at this. Want to become famous? We can buy followers, primes, and viewers on followinbot.com.
Ooh, click that. Definitely click it.
Yeah.
Great idea.
And at the same time, go to a website that's offering, the latest movies.
Yeah.
Yep.
See, like
hot
Boulder,
singles in your area.
Yeah, right. See,
never
Boulder
are.
Ron in the
It's so
chat.
weird.
See, he strips down when he gets home too. Everything goes in the washing machine and then showers. See, people are, there's some people that really take it seriously, and it's, I don't know.
I took it seriously enough to buy a biohazard suit. So
You are actually less protected now, Seawall, than you usually are.
Right?
Yeah, that's true.
Tie-chem suit, 3M mask, chemical boots, chemical gloves, 2 sets of filters, and Gorilla tape.
Wow.
Gosh.
Yeah, I gotta have Gorilla Tape for sure.
Think duct tape, but on steroids.
Yeah, it's amazing.
But doesn't it kind of ruin the material once you take it off? Because it's like really strong, so it'll pull apart the rubber and stuff.
This equipment that I am wearing, it is only designed to be used once.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
You don't wear a tie-chem suit more than once. I mean, I could be in an acidic environment for about 30 minutes with this stuff.
How acidic?
Mildly, like industrially mildly. Obviously,
Okay.
I'm not going into a Chinese city.
So like Jimi Hendrix acidic.
I believe Chinese cities are safe to travel in now, sir. You're fine.
Chinese citizens be safe to travel in when they each get a Moab.
Their plan is well underway, sir. They are reaching stage 3 of their plan to take over.
And I disavow.
Stage 3. Turn all their people into urns.
Oh my god.
Whoa!
Have you heard about the urns out of Wuhan? There are like thousands and thousands of them that weren't there before.
Tens of thousands.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard 40,000.
Look, the thing is also, just to kind of get into geopolitics, people think China's going to take over the world. Multiple nations are already basically telling their companies, look, you got 2 options. We'll give you money to pull all of your investments out of China right now.
Yeah.
Or we're going to sanction the shit out of China. And you're going to lose everything.
Mm-hmm. So what are y'all's thoughts on going to war with China?
Scares the shit out of me.
Unnecessary.
You don't need to go to war with them. Just park the U.S. Navy outside their ports and tell them, no food coming in. 2 months, they're all gone.
Well, China worries me because, and this comes from a little bit of a video game background, obviously, since we've got a few gamers in here. China is the ultimate Zerg rush. A lot of units that the Overlord doesn't give a damn about
They
that they can
lost
just
to
keep throwing.
Vietnam after the Vietnam War with the Zerg rush.
Yeah,
they weren't really. Their hearts weren't in it. I mean,
China hasn't lost a foreign war. It hasn't won a foreign war in 500 years.
I don't think it's their style necessarily to go to war. They're not trying to empire build in the same way that we are. They are trying to build an economic empire, which is a little bit different. And the idea that I've read from communist texts is the idea that they will infiltrate the United States through our own culture, through our own young people, and that the U.S. will fall into their hand like a ripe fruit. And so I think.
Do you think that's working? Because I'm seeing some.
Yeah, I think that it is. I think that
of that.
Yes, and I think that.
Remember, you have heard about the FBI agents grabbing up crap loads of academics. Combine that with people are going to combine that with. You think Trump is going to go easy on China once this stuff is cleared up?
No.
Or do you think he's
he
going
wasn't
to
doing it before?
It's a lot of people.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, we picked up a couple of stragglers along the way.
Hello. How's it going?
Hello.
Hey.
I wrote a song.
Stephen Ignoramus with a song for us.
We're gonna get serenaded, people.
Should I do it?
You know what? Just in case anybody stepped away from the stream, Ed, John, do you guys mind posting that Stephen is about to, hit that song? Throw it out in your Discords and stuff.
We can wait for sure.
Yeah, 5 minutes. 5 minutes is it? I mean, unless you're going to forget the words in 5 minutes.
Oh no, I wrote them all.
Oh, thank God! I knew he was a master songsmith. I knew he was a master at his craft.
This one's good. You guys will like this one.
Good.
I'm proud of it.
Oh, good. That's even better.
Yeah.
He's proud.
To get back to the economic empire China's forming, the problem is the Chinese economic empire is built on a house of cards. It's built on manufacture. And American companies are going like, we can't, for years they are saying they can't rely on China, but they had no other choice. Now with the Defense Production Act in effect and public opinion against China, they have the perfect excuse to bring the stuff back home. And the second China loses manufacturing contracts, within a couple of years, you will see that entire nation implode upon itself in such a massive civil war that we might have to deploy troops just to secure the nukes.
But to keep China from gaining any kind of economic trade foothold in this, don't we have to retract our lockdowns so that we can get our own manufacturing going again? I mean, we've got car manufacturers that are shut down. We're starting to see meat packing companies that are starting to shut down.
That'll
we're seeing
happen
all
in due
these
time, though.
Well, yeah, but right now China has already started getting their industrial engine going again. They've taken the lockdown off Wuhan.
You're assuming that they aren't still horribly infected and they're just letting people drop dead.
I am not assuming anything. I'm just saying what they're putting out that they're doing, and
within
if they're smart, they're going to try
shut them
and
back down again.
I mean, they're going to target countries in this world that are on lockdown, not manufacturing, and they're going to say, "Hey, we are manufacturing. We're on the other side of the curve," and I mean, how much misinformation does China normally dole out? It is a way to get a foothold if there isn't enough manufacturing going on.
No, we'll jump ship. No, anybody will jump ship as soon as they can because their trust in China is so low.
Yeah, not only that, but Rob, did you hear what happened to the masks and the ventilators that went to Europe from China?
No.
They were all recalled because they were faulty. China's game over. China can last a unified nation for the longest in history was 82 years. That was the longest China ever remained unified. We're at the 60, 70-year mark where China destabilizes. You combine Hong Kong with the Wuhan flu, with Taiwan with people shafting Taiwan, leading to more people looking at the matter. Combine it with all of the negative press straight at China. The fact that the American FBI is currently grabbing up every academic that ever took money from China. American companies are going like, what are you doing? Why are you seizing the products we paid for? And
I wonder what that means for our manufacturing, though, because we're so interwoven with China. Like my husband's own company, it's a German company that manufactures in the U.S. and it gets a majority of its materials from China. And it's like everything is so interwoven.
They switched to India. They switched to
India
or East Africa.
Yeah.
They switch. Look, India and East Africa is going to make a killing off this. Not only that, but natural resource production in the U.S. and Canada is going to spike. China is a distant third for trade partner with the U.S. The U.S. is China's number one trade partner. Imagine, because after this is all done, if China does not basically bow its head to the West, say, sorry, we fucked up, there's going to be sanctions. And you're going to see the entire Chinese economy
Even
snap.
if they apologize, they're not going to apologize.
Well, that's
they're going to deny it.
Yeah.
Well, that's ultimately my question is whether or not sanctions will actually be put in place against China, because it will be the only way you're going to stop Chinese manufacturing from getting out there to the rest of the world, unless we as a global population sanction them and tell them, fuck no,
All
we
it
don't
takes
want your
is
shit.
all it takes is the U.S. to sanction them, because that leads to the domino effect. The U.S. is the number one trade partner of China by a mile. The rest of the world cannot absorb the Chinese surplus at that point. Chinese companies are notorious for being even worse than American companies for having cash on hand. Most Chinese companies have less than a month of cash on hand. They have to keep operating. If there is any disruption in the Chinese system, it stalls that engine. Crazy. That's why China's trying to force everything to reopen.
Right.
It knows if it keeps it closed any longer, these businesses are going to fold. The money that is in the hands of the Chinese billionaire class and the millionaire class is going to flee worldwide. They're going to get the hell out of China, sending China back to the third world hellhole it always was.
Well, yeah, I could see that they may be gambling on, taking a gamble on our continued panic threshold, our responses to it, and hoping that, some of these far out projections of a year from now, we're still going to be on lockdowns, is going to work to their favor.
Well, the problem with that is we're starting to see some movement to remove the lockdown in the U.S. Not only that, as I said again, the Defense Production Act. If things start getting worse and it spreads through China, if there is a second lockdown of the Chinese economy, you know the old saying, fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. If China suddenly shuts down again and seizes exports, they're not getting a third chance. Those countries are going to go, no, you are going to manufacture here, or you are not going to be a business anymore. We're going to nationalize your ass. That's what's going to be the statement. That every major CEO for every American company is going to be brought in front of Trump, and he's going to tell them, you have two options: 100% American manufacturer, or you're now an American government-owned company under Defense Production Act. And what do you think they're going to choose? The buyout where they get a fraction of the stock, or it's going to suck for a little while to get the profit margins good again, but we still exist and we still get paid.
What about finished goods, not talking about resources that companies, as Jessica was talking about, but finished goods. When you go into a store, oftentimes you can go into a home goods store and, the bulk of the products are going to have a little made in China sticker on the bottom of it. Like you see this throughout. Do we have here or global partners to address the manufacturing to replace those goods so that we don't have to get them from China?
Japan just injected something like $2 trillion or something like that into their own economy, paying their companies to bring manufacture back to Japan. Those buildings still exist. The tooling will take time to get brought up and running, but with advancements in machining technology, it'll take a fraction of the time for them to get back up and running in Japan. Not only that, you're probably going to see South Korea do the same thing. From there, you'll see India jump on board. And all of that nice little stuff going on there, you don't think American companies are going to go, hey, the Japanese are trying to cut us out of this new booming Western-style manufacture, advanced technology, high-level robotics, fewer workers. Because the thing is, the reason why China is so cheap to work in is because the amount of work that you get out of an American worker versus a Chinese worker is ridiculous. I think one American worker does the work of 20 Chinese workers. Yeah, China uses effectively slave labor.
Wouldn't it be the opposite?
No, because the thing is, you can have one guy who's got some training working a machine that can do the work of 20 to 40 of what China's got going. China does not have a lot of automation. It's got some automation in certain sectors.
Yeah. They're using body labor, right?
Yeah, they're using body labor, and they're using cheap body labor. Once that becomes no longer an option, and with advancements in robotics technology, yes, it's a high initial investment. But you know how much cheap money's out there right now? How much is the Fed pumped into the system right now?
Oh yeah,
at least like $50 or something, I think.
Yeah. Sorry, it's 52.35. Get it right.
52.35. The price of a movie ticket. Gotcha.
But yeah, look, yes, there's going to be some inflation, but if we are smart, we can do a controlled deflation of the currency after this. Once the companies get up and running, because a lot of cheap money. Hell, my dad, the guy who he's the accountant of the store I used to work at. He's looking. It's a grocery store. They're having their best days ever, but they're going like, "Hey, there's a lot of cheap money out there. We're going to pick some of that up and invest it in the company, pay off other debts, get to a better interest rate, which means they have more material to work with to either expand the company or pay back the investors, which gives them more room to grow. Either way."
Exactly. Hey, we're going to take a moment here, and our resident songmaster Stephen Ignoramus has put together the $500 goal song.
Yes.
So for all you folks out there in the audience, please imagine this is the music playing while we pass the plate. So jump on that GoFundMe link and go out there and throw your donations in, and listen to this joyous music from Mr. Ignoramus.
All right. So first things first, the topic we selected was no refunds, like a Bernie Sanders song. So the name of the song is just no refunds, and but you know how they sometimes have a song where it's like the title and then there's the subtitle in parentheses, whatever. The song is called No Refund Funds Burns Breadline. Song about breadlines. All right. So you guys hear that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Bernie Sanders, he can be a seduction. Free bread, but we ain't got no refunds. Seize the day, seize the means of production. You can't give him no refunds. The bourgeoisie can just prepare for destruction. Free bread, but we ain't got no refunds. Seize the day, seize the means of production. Can't give me no refunds. If you feel the burn, just wait your turn. We always serve grain as the soup du jour. A little backstabbing, never socialized, because there's no free crumbs in my breadstick line. Bernie might be a socialite, a Soviet, a transmaphrodite. Your comrade always has the best intents in mind, and there's no refunds in Bern's breadline. You maybe need to find a suit that fits your off-brand social pseudoscientist. America's redistributionist, and mark me down for 2 slots on your gulag list. And felt fresh, now I feel the burn. I guess I'll have to wait till the proletariat's turn. The revolution probably will be circumcised, and you'll get no refunds in Bern's breadline. A suit that fits your off-brand social pseudoscientist. America's redistributionist, and mark me down for 2 slots on your gulag list. I felt fresh, now I feel the burn. I guess I'll wait for the proletariat's turn. The revolution probably won't be circumcised, and you'll get no refunds in Bern's breadline. And Bernie Sanders might be a seduction, and free bread, and we ain't got no refunds. And seize the day and seize the means of production. He can't give you no refunds. The bourgeoisie can just prepare for destruction. Free bread, but we ain't got no refunds. And seize the day and seize the means of production. It can't give you no refunds. All right, that took an hour.
Sweet, nice.
Hey!
That was
Excellent.
amazing.
Yeah.
You need to get that on Apple Tunes.
Oh, I'm gonna definitely make that into like a real song. Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
definitely
that
gotta
was
record
good.
That shit.
Fantastic.
Link it up to any pro Bernie video. in the comments on YouTube.
I'm
Yep.
pretty good at
Bet
the
you
commie
I-
jargon, dude. I didn't realize till I wrote the song. I was like, I know what they're talking about, dude.
Say you record that, I bet you could get $1 million from Trump's campaign for the rights to
dude,
that
if I
song.
could get retweeted by Trump just once, that would be great.
Oh, my
I'd
God.
be very happy.
Oh man,
That'd
we
be
must get help you.
awesome.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
Mhm.
Holy shit.
This could be the start of your career.
Overnight success.
We knew it first.
Los Angeles
folks.
gonna do like just sing from their bathrooms about how sad they are.
Yeah,
Probably.
right.
Yeah. Like in their tubs. Yeah, crying.
Speaking of that, do you know Imagine?
The song.
Yeah, that's what I was
the
talking
song.
about.
Yeah.
Oh no, the keytar.
Oh no, it's
Keytar
gone.
down. Keytar down.
It ran away at the idea that you were going to play Imagine on it.
Yeah. It's like, no. Oh man.
Yeah, I do know how to play Imagine, but
Yeah, so did you guys see that girl that had shaved her head and dressed like the OK Boomer girl and then just screamed into the camera?
Did she
No.
scream
This
or
is
did
I
she
have
read?
not.
Action
Oh,
that-
thank God.
Oh God, the salt and cope is real. I was expecting this level of salt and cope in November. I wasn't expecting it in April.
Yeah, that's true.
Or at least at the DNC, which they
There
canceled.
shall be more salt soon.
I put all my money in salt stocks. It's gonna drop because of supply. I'm ruined. I'll never financially recover from this.
Yeah,
So
the
what else
government,
is
the
even in
government,
the news right now?
the government will
Sorry.
bail you out.
COVID and Bernie.
Yeah, there's not
Uh,
much else going on. Like we're not talking about the election or how Joe's not all there anymore.
But yeah,
Well,
we can't talk
yeah.
about that right now. We can't talk
I
about it
mean-
at all. Actually,
I mean,
We
let's
can't.
let's be honest. I mean, as soon as I don't know, it's over. It's kind of pointless. I mean, it's like I think we all know how it's going to turn out. As soon as we knew Biden was going to be the candidate, it kind of sealed the deal.
Mhm.
I mean, it's a no-brainer from here. You don't even have to take a vote. I mean, it's just he's going to get it. I mean, who wants to put an Alzheimer patient in the White House?
Well,
I wanted to hear Bernie go toe to toe with Trump on the
That
debate
was what I
stage.
Yeah, so
wanted.
did I.
Absolutely.
yeah, that would have been better
You're
TV.
listening
I'm
to
not-
Donald Trump, okay?
I'm not gonna lie. I think the Bernie Trump one is going to be even funnier because Trump is currently talking to doctors. Ask the question:
No, Biden.
How do no? Trump is talking to doctors, saying, "How do I trigger him?
Yeah.
How do I make him have an episode?" Because imagine if
Yeah.
Biden suddenly has an Alzheimer's episode, going, "Who am I? Where am I? What's going on?" National
see, that's
TV.
sad. Oh no.
That's
See,
yeah.
it's the way I see it is it's like winning a chess match with somebody that's not all there mentally.
Yeah.
And like you'll probably win, yeah, but that's not how you want to win. You don't feel good about winning.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still gonna feel great, but
so now that we actually have some females to talk to here, let's and I know that Harvey and I are probably going to talk about this on Monday too because she's guest on my show this coming week as well. But what do we think about Alyssa Milano and her sudden turnaround?
Crazy as fuck.
Stunning and brave.
I didn't.
Yeah,
I've
she's
been
crazy
busy
as
working
shit.
because it's cap season. So can y'all give me the rundown? Apparently, she's
So-
not in the whole believe everybody anymore.
No, because there's
Well,
a woman
with
named.
verification. Sorry.
Go ahead.
No,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Well, there's a woman named Tara Reid who came out and accused Joe Biden,
yeah.
and suddenly all that Me Too and Believe Women and Time's Up bullshit went right out the window. And
Yep.
Alyssa, basically decided to pivot by making this incredibly cringy video about how she's going to go after the NRA now. It was like,
Yeah, I
okay,
saw
because
that
you
this morning.
Yeah.
betrayed your cause so publicly, and now you're gonna just take up a brand new cause. It's so transparent. It's like awful.
No one expects the Alyssa Milano heel turn, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a
one of the
surprising
things-
twist in this season of America.
Yeah. The Federal
I
Apprentice
guess,
writers are really outdoing themselves this year.
Yeah.
I saw a great tweet though where someone, I think it was Freckled Liberty actually, Britt, who's your co-host on your podcast. She said to Alyssa Milano that my guns have killed less people than you have.
She did.
And-
And people
Oh.
took
That's awesome.
Oh.
And I was
Ooh.
like,
I like
love
it.
her for it.
slam.
It's true.
That's
That's
badass.
where's the
I mean,
lie?
people were like, "What? What?" I mean, it was great. It was great. That's
Wait. Alyssa Milano's been involved in people's deaths.
she had
Yeah,
Two
just-
abortions.
People that were
Yeah.
inside
Ah.
her. Yeah.
Got it. So
Spicy take.
She is
Got
committing
him.
the ultimate,
It's
the ultimate
true.
murder. The
Yeah.
ultimate
True as-
murder on the true.
True as
innocent.
fuck.
Got
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was pretty. I thought that was great. I think what Milano went on a show or did an interview with someone. I don't know. I just saw it like yesterday, where she said, "Well, I checked in with the Time's Up movement, and they didn't want to take up Tara Reid's case." And I was thinking, well, that's because the Time's Up movement is super biased and politicized, and it
Funded
says
by
a
the
lot
DNC.
more about. It says a lot more about Time's Up than it does about Tara Reid. And it's just, I think she went on to say, like, well,
Please let Trump bring that up.
I hope he does. She went on to say, well, I think that we need to trust women, but not without verifying, and not at the expense of ruining men's livelihood and ruining men's lives if they're innocent. She was on with Andy Cohen, and
I do want to
Kavanaugh
make a
didn't get that
clarification.
courtesy.
I want to make a clarification quick before, just in case some people don't know when they're listening to this. This is Tara Reid, the congressional staffer, not the
Not
failed
the-
actress
American
that
Pie.
looks like
Not
a
the Big
cocaine addict.
Lebowski.
yeah.
Oh yeah, the big
That's
Everybody
right.
does.
Brent Cat Watch,
about
she has
that
to
one.
pay 100.
Wait, see,
You want to blow on my toes?
Oh, yeah.
wait. So,
You mean the
So I-
award-winning Josie and the Pussycats, Tara Reid?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
so
That's a deep cut.
I
Damn.
obviously haven't been keeping up. So you're telling me Alyssa Milano's not on Who's the Boss anymore? I don't understand. I mean that's
With
the
that
last
short
time I
stint
saw
on My Name is
her.
Earl?
Oh god.
During
Was she on? That was a good show. Was she on that?
yeah,
She
My
was
Name
in
is
it.
Earl
She-
was a good show.
Third season, yeah.
Who was
Um,
she?
She was his wife for a brief time.
Yeah.
Oh,
She
Billy,
was
right?
she understand
No shit.
her being on the show and the show being good are mutually
Unrelated.
exclusive.
Yeah, no, completely unrelated. Yeah.
Yes.
But real
There's
quick
A pure
before
coincidence.
Yeah.
in 2016, when he was debating Hillary, he had Bill Clinton's accusers sitting in the
Oh,
so
and
badass.
Yeah.
if you
awesome.
don't think
Trump is
that
the
he's
best troll ever. I
Right.
Yeah, Paul
so
Devine
if you
was just
think
saying
he's
that,
not
yeah.
going to have Tara Reid sitting there while Joe Biden is debating and bring that shit up, then, you
Yeah.
know, he's not
Yeah,
the man that
yeah.
I think he is.
Yeah. It's
Well-
not my president then.
Well,
I've
not only
already-
that,
well,
but where there's one Tara Reid, there might be 5 or 6 more.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
the
yeah.
thing. I mean, he's not going to be able to pivot away from it when Trump has her sitting there and is pointing at her and be like, "What about that
it's-
bitch?"
Yeah.
What's so great is that even though Trump's been brought up so many times, like it's so, I guess, visible in the public eye anyway that nobody can really pull a fast one on him with that.
Well,
Well,
not
didn't-
only that, but some of the early accusers, it was so ridiculous stories that they were even shot down by other witnesses. Like the one
Yeah.
who said that Trump was like I think it was something like he was in first class on a plane. It was and he was in his 40s at the time, and this some 40-something woman walked up to him. She claimed he grabbed her and tried to pull her into his seat. Other witnesses said no, she was trying to grab him, and he was like, "What the fuck are you doing? Get the fuck away from me!"
Wow.
God's
I'm
big
surprised.
one.
I'm surprised he flew first class at all and not private. I mean,
Right.
when he just
Didn't
fly
somebody-
private.
Yeah, he
This was
owns
him in
planes.
his 40s. This was him in
Yeah.
his 40s.
Okay.
You know, 30 some odd years ago.
Yeah,
30,
but
40
he's,
years ago
I
or
mean,
something
he's
like
still
that.
insanely
And
rich
he is
back
old
then.
as shit.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but he still wasn't doing I don't think if it was 30 years ago, he wasn't doing The Apprentice and stuff.
No.
yet.
No, he was just a
No,
real
that
estate
was-
mogul at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
Maybe
had
a
been on
local
Home Alone,
celebrity
though.
out of.
I was about to say he had that Home
Yeah,
Alone
he's-
money.
Yeah. He had a Home Alone 2
Well,
money.
Residuals.
I
Home
thought,
Alone.
yeah, I thought he had already
Yeah.
rolled that $1 million from his dad into a larger fortune by that point. But
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody likes to give him shit like I got a small loan of $1 million. I'm like, okay, how many people turn $1 million into $1 billion? Like you couldn't turn $20 into $100.
A million isn't that much money, yo. $1 million is not that much money.
It's
Like
not,
the big
yeah.
the big business world, that is nothing.
Yeah.
You know what?
nothing.
But if you had talked to 10-year-old me, I would have been like, $1 million?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
You know,
most average people will
everybody I
make $1
knew
million
would have been like,
in their life.
Whoa.
But like adults saying $1 million.
Yeah,
whoa,
it's not that much money. Yeah.
that's a. They
Yeah.
should
It's not that much, and he turned it into $1 billion empire.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
There's-
technically,
come on.
he did inherit his dad's stuff, which was worth quite a bit,
Yeah.
in the hundreds of millions somewhere. But he did take that and did grow it from there.
He spent it all on
Also-
tanning shit, on like tanning oil.
towards the end of his father's life, his father had lost a lot of credibility
Yeah.
in real estate. So,
One of the
you know,
things
yeah,
that I
even
always-
having he didn't really coast off of the Trump name as much as people think he did.
What do you got, Britt?
Well, one of the things I always found interesting when I first started working, I was a consumer risk operations manager for Bank of America. So you go through training and you have all these inspirational stories. They tell you and all these things. And this was, I don't know, 15, 16 years ago. And one of the stories was about Donald Trump. It was like the biggest, like he had gotten close to or filed bankruptcy 4 times. And he was, sorry, my husband's making dinner.
With a hammer?
Breaking the peanut brittle.
And kill a deer.
Whatever
Did
he
he stalk
does.
and drag a deer in there, and now he's killing it?
Whatever he does during my self-isolation time, I am fine with.
That's
He's
funny.
amazing as far as I'm concerned.
It's still moving.
Kept these kids alive. I saw laundry being folded. I was like, "You're better
Shut
mom
up.
than I am." But no, one of the stories they would tell, and I told this to my employees. It's like he got so close to bankruptcy, he filed bankruptcy, and then he came back from that. It's an inspiration over and over. And then when he runs for president, the narrative changes. Well, he filed bankruptcy. How great of a businessman he can be. How great could he be? Where this story wasn't a story that was just told at Bank of America corporate. It was a story that was told throughout, like the businesses.
The Art of the
throughout the
Comeback, his
country,
sequel to The Art of the Deal.
Mhm.
Literally,
Yeah, so-
he literally exaggerated how much he lost
Yeah.
to make it seem like the
His
comeback was
ghostwriter
bigger.
did. His ghostwriter went hard telling everybody how he lost.
Where's the ghostwriter? You'd imagine they make $1 million selling their story about ghostwriting for Trump.
You do have they did appear, or one of his ghostwriters that wrote his autobiography, he did do an interview, and he said that in meeting him and talking with him, because he was going to write his autobiography, and he goes, okay, so what do you dream about? And he says, without skipping a beat, the Donald answered, fucking, it's always fucking. Ow! And I thought, I can see that. Yeah.
Nice.
Very Trump, doesn't say.
Honest. Like a. We used to. I respect people who embrace failure and explain to people that failure is the way to success, because you have to learn how to fail.
Well, also those 4 bankruptcies, those weren't personal bankruptcies to my knowledge. They were 4 businesses.
Yeah.
One was the
Casinos,
Trump stakes. Well, in the casinos, actually, I've got a little bit of insight in this because where I come from in California, there's an Indian casino. And I know about, there's, the local rumors of, do you know who actually runs the Indian casinos and makes most of the profit? Not the Indians. It's the Vegas casinos.
Yeah.
They're the ones running it.
Yeah.
And do you know who owns Vegas and Atlantic City?
Mr. House?
The mob?
The rap.
The
guy.
mob.
The mob.
It
No,
is the mob.
Yeah, it's the mob.
It's the mob. This one weird investor out of Tennessee that no one knows anything about, and this guy out of Hong Kong. If you trace it all back, it goes to either a mob family or one of those 2 guys. Trump was an interloper, so it's actually
He's a
believed that the
daywalker.
mob. No, it's believed that the mob engineered the collapse in Atlantic City to get the competition out, because the historic ones that were already owned by the mob, they were unaffected. They survived. And it basically, basically, and it's not only Trump who lost money. There were a lot of people who lost money in the Atlantic City bubble popping.
They don't like my
Fascinating.
casinos. I
Yep,
swear
then-
to God.
Yep.
I was running them perfectly. So I'm an amazing businessman, but these
No, his wife
mafia
was running them.
bastards. These
No.
mafia bastards.
Yeah, then there was Trump Steaks, which was a vanity project that had low chance of success anyway. Trump Steaks was what do you expect? The national meat selling industry, it doesn't work like that anymore. Most meat is
How's
more
his
regional.
water company doing?
Yep.
Or vodka.
And then the other two,
Very.
I'm not really sure about. I know Trump Wines has been pretty shaky, but that's still going on. And then his real estate empire has been his empire for as long as I can imagine.
I wonder what those are, because he can't have thought that Trump Steaks especially would have worked because he had
It's a vanity project.
Yeah,
That's
that's-
Are you
awesome.
He wanted his
sure? Are
name
you
on
sure
some-
it wasn't like some kind of
The best
I don't
It was
know.
a vanity
of all time.
project.
The
Like-
best steaks ever. The
I
best
don't want to
meat
say money laundering, but I want to say like
Meat in your
some
mouth.
kind of.
in your mouth, everyone's mouth.
I mean-
is
I mean,
so
it was-
satisfying.
They were sold
Honestly,
like sharper
Your tax
image.
shelter.
I mean, come on.
Think about it. I always thought about it like this: when that was an enterprise that was, specifically targeting a higher income audience.
Really?
Yeah, I mean his
The
steaks
sharper
weren't
image is
cheap.
where they were,
His shit wasn't cheap. So but
Wow.
the mentality is most of those fucking people that have that kind of money, well, they're going out to eat a lot anyway. They're not.
Or they're
not
buying
going home and cooking
grass-fed,
their
or
own
they're
food.
buying regional.
yeah,
Right.
Right,
Give me that.
yeah.
Give me that
Yeah,
2-year-old
dude,
massaged Kobe. Right.
If you're like a well-off person, if
Bruh.
of all the steaks in
Don't
the
even get me
world,
started
why
on
would
that.
you select a Trump steak? Like,
Yeah.
of all the ones in the
I
world,
would buy
you're
it
like,
once for the meme. I would buy
Yeah.
it once for the
Same.
meme.
Yeah.
Right.
But I thought
Get that
memes
Trump
weren't
meat
even
in
a
your
thing.
mouth.
When was this? Like the late '90s?
usually
Sometime
Or was
around
the-
there.
Yeah.
Something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Late '90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
It was around the time Omaha Steaks was really seeing a boom, as well.
They're
a
still
lot
around,
of people.
aren't they? Omaha.
Yeah, and
Omaha Steaks, yeah.
I do think that he was directly targeting competition there, yet hitting a very small audience that wasn't really geared towards buying his product.
And not only that, it was a vanity project. Vanity
Yeah.
projects have a tendency to fail. He slapped his name all over it. That's what Trump does.
But-
Almost
Not like
everything is
people that would
plugged in.
want to pay for Trump meat in their mouth, the Stormy Daniels, but come on.
And I might be misremembering, but I think that whole steak company was supposed to be parlayed into Trump chain restaurants. That was
That-
kind of
that
what
I
it
could
was
see.
supposed to be.
That makes
you
more
want it to
sense.
be a
So I
Ted-
think it was supposed to be like parlayed into that, but I could be misremembering.
Well,
it seems
yeah.
like that's that I've read that before.
Well, another thing
They
could
have
have been
this-
the assets after it failed were rolled into the Trump restaurant just because it's a distribution network and they were trying to save some assets.
Yeah,
Well-
maybe it was just a story that was put out, but
Right.
it seems like what I remember was this was supposed to be like, we have this, it's going to be parlayed into this. Now you can go into a restaurant and,
Yeah.
Right.
I could
Well,
see Trump wanting to compete with like Ted's Montana Grill and the Ted
Right.
Turner having those
Yeah.
restaurants and wanting
Ted
to
Turner had a
But-
restaurant?
yeah, that would
Yeah,
be really
they
on
serve
brand.
buffalo. It's
Oh.
really good.
But see,
Buffalo
if-
was fantastic.
if
Yeah.
I'm,
It is.
if I,
Yeah.
I had a
If I-
buffalo
Super good.
meatloaf. It was really good.
But see, if I'm Trump and I want to get into an enterprise like that, I would honestly think that he would have just gone directly into that as opposed to, a precursor with seeing how well his meat does, no pun intended. But,
That's Melania.
because if you look at a consumer, people are more likely to go into a building with the Trump name on it than they are to walk into a store and buy a product with the Trump name on it. In
Unless
my
you're-
opinion, I would think
yeah.
so.
Unless you're a millennial right now, then you just want to take a picture of yourself flipping the Trump building off.
I did something similar to the Trump Tower in Chicago. I took a picture of myself in front of it. I was just like,
Yeah, but you were humping the building.
No,
No, that was me.
Wow.
it actually, I would have to be on the other side of the Chicago River for that to see the Trump sign, like the
Hump the
Trump
building,
Tower
yeah.
sign.
Right.
But so like I had to go find like a small like directory sign,
Well,
like oh look,
also,
I'm here. You know.
I know how Trump's real estate empire has expanded recently. He lives rent free in the heads of every leftist in the world at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
True that.
I mean, Jesus Christ, how many Trump signs do you really need? Apparently, 1 billion.
So what? Here's an interesting speculative question. When Trump steps down from the presidency, whether it's this time around voted out or at the end of his 8 years, what product lines is he going to roll out then? because he'll be primed for it, right? I mean, that would be the perfect
This
time to
guy's
start
gonna
rolling out
retire at
Trump
some
branded
point.
products.
Yeah, I think he's gonna retire too.
Yeah, he's gonna release a book, do a press tour, and probably be a minor figurehead for his company, but more just a face rather than actually making big decisions.
But that's just the thing. I mean, most of what Trump is name brand recognition.
He's
So
got that.
you know,
He's got
he can sit there with
Oh, yeah.
his $5 billion name and, you know, say, okay, you know, he doesn't have to do any work. It's just like, let's launch a product here, launch a product there. Here's my name. Make it, put it on there, just like he does with buildings. You build a building, put my name on it, it'll be successful.
He'll build a library like all the other retired presidents.
Well, now that'll be fun.
Yeah.
But
It works for
Strippers.
it
Bush.
won't have books. It'll just have digital screens with Twitter feeds on it.
Exactly. It's gonna have his entire Twitter feed archive.
And he'll have just pictures of him all over the place.
Exactly.
Like his hotels, which I regret not visiting the Trump hotel when I lived in
Well,
Las
not
Vegas.
only
but-
that, but other things that Trump's probably going to do is, he's probably going to do some sort of short show or a mini series of his presidency where he plays himself.
That'd be funny.
Yeah,
I don't know.
hope
I'm
so.
expecting he's going to bring The Apprentice back.
Wait, how old he is?
Congress
Old,
edition.
man.
Is he?
So
You don't think
AOC,
that's what's
after she
happening
loses
right
her
now?
seat.
I mean, if he's that old, isn't he too old to be president? I mean, shit. I
No,
mean,
No,
he's
he's
got-
only 73.
he's very
73, but he's
apparently
gonna be
he's
gonna
hale
be
and hearty.
77. But the problem is he's gonna be 77 when
Yeah, I
he's leaving
meant
the
when he
White
gets
House, more
out,
likely.
man. He'll be
Yeah.
fucking
He's still
old.
going to be younger than Bernie.
Yeah.
Right.
And
That's
Biden.
because
He was-
everyone is younger than Bernie.
Yeah, that's true. Except for
God
Robert.
is younger
Crazy
than Bernie.
that George Bush, who's been out of the presidency for over 10 years, is younger than the two top Democratic
Yet,
candidates.
It's embarrassing.
Yet Bush Jr. looks like he got hit with the old ugly stick after leaving the presidency.
God, don't you people know evil is immortal? He'll not die. I mean, come on.
Hillary Clinton has
No,
already sucked up
HW
all the
died.
evil, man.
Yeah, it's weird how good he is at painting, and I think it's an interesting choice.
Yeah,
that he
it's
chooses
really
to paint.
impressive.
He
Yeah.
I have
paints the
never seen a
faces.
picture by him.
He paints,
They're
and he's
not bad.
yeah, he's really talented in my opinion. And his subject choice, I think, is really compelling though, as he paints the faces of wounded soldiers. And I know that sounds like kind of a I don't know, what a
Morbid?
promotional thing to do. Like, oh, I look at what a good guy I am. I care about these soldiers. But I think his
You're a
guilt.
fucking Bush. You sent them to their death.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I think
he paints the people he
yeah, he's haunted. Like he's haunted by the faces of these men that he knows he crippled, and like maybe there's some like weird Twilight Zone torture where he has to like continuously paint these faces.
Yeah. Where McCain, the morality and all the morality and conscience turned into cancer in his head and took him out for us.
Yeah.
He
I was so
draws-
drunk though, and I found out he croaked. I was like, all right.
So
I'm
I
not
don't
gonna
know.
lie. I was listening to Crab Rave. I was listening to Crab Rave when I heard that news.
Why? How is it? I don't understand. You're literally telling me that Trump paints.
No, I'm saying
that's
George
Bush.
Bush.
Oh,
George
Bush. Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't hear you say
Yeah.
Bush. I thought you were talking about Trump. Oh, fuck Bush.
No,
watch his interview on
everybody.
Kimmel where he talks
Hey.
about it.
That I
How's it
knew
going,
about.
Semper?
That
It's a packed house. What's up, Semper?
Semper Reloaded.
I
This is
actually
Semper
need to
Reloaded,
go soon
everybody.
because I got to start dinner.
Well,
All
get the
right.
hell
I
out
can be
there.
back.
Plug your stuff though first.
Well, excuse me. What's up?
Plug your stuff though first.
Oh yeah, my name is Harvey McLeod, and I'm here to play games for you. I play the video games and I cook the foods, and yeah,
Before
I'm a
you
Republican
go,
living in
Foods is
Silicon
good.
Valley.
before
Get
you go,
Unicorn, yeah.
Stephen, can you kick out the Brady Bunch tune real quick? We've got the perfect setup here, and I would love to get some action there. Can you
Dang
do
it,
that
I
for us?
can't. It's gonna take me a second. Dang it, I've never played that song.
Oh, damn it! It's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Semper, how are you doing tonight?
I'm very well. How are you?
Pretty good. I have no idea who you are.
Yeah, that's cool. He's Semper Reloaded. He's
That's
a
all right. I
streamer.
get that a lot.
Yeah.
My kids say that to me too.
Yeah.
Is that a thing with kids? I think that's a thing with kids, isn't it? Right?
When
Because
they
every
don't
time where
do
I'm in
something.
public with mine, they're like, I don't know who this guy is.
Yo, that's
I
a,
tell you what, I tell them I'm going to buy them a PlayStation.
Bye,
game, but
Harvey.
they know
Thanks for
it's
coming
all
by.
right.
Have a great
I might
night.
be
Yeah.
back. This was a lot
Okay,
of fun.
cool. We'll be here till midnight.
Swell.
This is crazy. I've never been with this many people. This is crazy. All right. That's
Yeah, you
it's
should have
not
been
like
All right, I
around
came in
the
late, so
80s.
can we recap the last 9 hours?
Sure.
John's probably the best to do that, right?
Yeah,
You think
he's
so?
a historian.
Yeah. You're a historian, dude.
Okay, well, people donated stuff. Stephen wrote a song. It was good. We had Matt Christensen on. That was fun. We've had everyone you see here, plus a couple of others. That was fun. And yeah, there you go.
That's it.
Oh,
And it's
see,
2 hours.
Recap.
I was joking. That's usually what I say when I come into a stream late.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, there's people like some people have given me like a dollar on deal. I haven't been like start over at like 4 hours into a 5 hour stream.
Right,
I've done that as a joke
Also-
to you though. Like, hey, I just got here. Can you start over?
That's really great. Like D-Live, you can't rewind, but on YouTube you have the DVR running, so it's like you
Yeah.
can back it up, which is what makes it funny.
Yeah.
Yo, so Semper, I actually I wanted to ask you, man. I haven't seen any of your streams since the coronavirus thing, like or like the last like 4 or 5. What is your general take on this whole thing that's going on right now? Like, what have you been talking about on your streams?
You really want to know that?
A little bit, yeah, I do.
Holy mackerel. Have you not seen my streams because they don't come in your sub feed, or have you not seen my streams because you're super busy with your 9 million streams?
He said something about boycotting. I think he said boycotting or something.
I've been working on this album. So I've been so busy, but I haven't caught any of your streams in forever. But what's your
Well, if you want me to give you a quick take on
Yes.
the last, I guess, 2 weeks of my streams, it's very simple. I believe we've already all had it because every single one of us has had a pretty nasty respiratory flu this year. I think that for and I can expound on various reasons of why I think it's for. I think that this has blown up into proportions that are greater than anything, and I think that people have started to see it. And so now your right media, the ones that show up in your first slot recommended instead of your own videos, those people are starting to cover their tracks now. So, in fact, I'm probably going to run the Crowder video tomorrow to just go over it because there's some nuances in there that are interesting, but they're trying to go in and kind of backtrack now that data has come out from the CDC on infections, and there's zero flu and zero pneumonia.
Mhm.
Because they all got attributed to the 16,000 that have died. So if you take that 16,000 and you take who was already died with the flu this year, it doesn't even come close to the 62,000 that it was last year. And I ran through those numbers on my stream of the first 4 months of flu season, and it was hovering right about 40, but between 40 and I think 55,000, if I remember right. And so if you add 16 on top of that, it's still not in the top 10 of the worst flu seasons we've ever had. So
wow.
Exactly.
I think that for some type of given reason, and we could definitely go into the fun. We can definitely go into the theoretical Tuesday areas on that, but it's just all of this has been ridiculous. The whole thing, shutting down the economy, having normal run-of-the-mill everyday people who aren't going to be harmed by a respiratory virus and shutting them in lieu of taking, because I always said on my streams, I said, look, guys, I think they should have gone to the businesses. Now, this is taking outside of the government wanting a second Patriot Act on the physical side. That's a whole different monster. But what they should have done is gone to all of the corporations, all of the businesses, and said, look, we will reimburse you for the salary of these people who have documented compromised immune systems, or who are at an advanced age, or have COPD or some type of respiratory problem, asthma, whatever you want to call it. And not that SJW asthma crap like they say, I have autism. Because Steven knows the most important little girl in my life. I call her my spirit animal because that's what she is. She's nonverbal autistic, and she's about 4. She turned 4 in October, and in fact, I just got back from hanging with her for the last 2 hours, and we connect like this. So when you get people like that girl with the big blue eyes on TikTok that was talking about how she was autistic, that pisses me off to
You
no
guys
end.
see
So
that?
I'm not
You guys know what he's talking about?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not talking about asthma like
Oh
those.
my gosh. Yeah, this girl
I get
basically was
crazy
like,
when people
yeah.
start messing around with autism.
Yeah,
Sinatra says it's like that.
Just for
He's
people
got
that don't
two
know,
boys that are seriously autistic.
let me just tell the people for a second what we're talking about with this girl. Like, this girl went on TikTok. She made a video where it's like, she clearly, I mean, this girl definitely has stuff wrong with her. But
I hate her, by the way.
She's like, I'm autistic. I have OCD. I have all these problems, and she's fine. She's just like, there's something up with her, but it's not.
Yeah,
that.
she's got the disease
she's
called
just
obnoxiousness.
Narcissism?
She's an e-girl. She's a fucking e-girl. And there's
Now,
she's like,
don't get me wrong.
She's a thought.
She is she is a top shelf thought. I mean, let's not be crazy. But
that's
yeah,
great.
No, she is
She's
infuriating.
like, I have autism, I have OCD, and they don't mix well.
Yeah, and
Oh,
for
that's so
somebody
cringy.
for somebody who has had to learn to communicate silently, communicate through signals, communicate through understanding eye movement and body posture and stuff like that. It really, oh man, it made me crazy. I watched a couple, like I wouldn't even run her video on my stream. That she made me that angry.
Really?
But I'm not talking about those people who say, "Oh, I have asthma," but they don't have an inhaler and they've, but people who are legitimately susceptible, the government should have come down, told all of the businesses, we will reimburse you for their salary, let them go in quarantine over the course of the flu season and do that every year versus shut down the entire system. It makes no logical sense to me whatsoever why we shut this down.
Hey, I'm going to jump in real quick for a quick moment. John, throw that link up in the chat if you don't mind. Folks, if you're just joining us, if you've been here for a little while and don't know, we're raising money for first responders and those affected by the coronavirus that are out there on the front lines, making sure you have your essential goods, making sure that your health is staying up and taking care of you. So jump in the description on that GoFundMe link or right there in the chat to the GoFundMe link. Please help us out. Throw in whatever you can so we can help raise some money and send it out to these people. It's a tough situation and it's a very sketchy one that we have to do this, but I think it's imperative because, as I said, those people are out there doing it for us. And I'll jump off the public service announcement, but thank you and continue.
Thank you,
Before you jump off the public service announcement, who are the people that this money is going to, and how's it going to get to them?
Team Rubicon is who we're targeting and they're focused on getting medical supplies to frontline responders, and also for those that to workers that are adversely affected by this. But their first primary target is getting masks and equipment and things like this to frontline responders, helping in that movement and effort.
Nice.
That works out.
Concise. Did you practice
Look
that?
at Miss N95 over there.
Did you fucking practice that? Yeah.
I know, it sounded like you did, right?
Yeah, dude, that was like polished, dude.
Sir,
dude.
I'm a professional, so
Are you?
lick my nuts. Hey, so Semper, based on what you said, does that give me hope that we will see the end of the Hong Kong flu reaction sooner than later?
Oh, see, now you're going to start tapping my crazy. You're going to
get
start
into
tapping
that,
my
man.
crazy.
Yeah,
I want to hear your theories, dog.
I really do too.
I don't think Hong Kong's legit. I think Hong Kong, because it's being covered so heavily on the news, I don't believe it. I think
protests,
that Hong Kong is a distraction. I think that it's something that we can bicker over, that we can fight over, that we can have 24-hour news cycles on that take away from the information. The hope that I have. Do we want to talk about hope or do we want to talk about despair? Because I got both of them.
Oh, we're all in despair already.
Good news, bad news. Hit us with both.
Let's settle before we go to hope. Let's settle on despair so we don't end on a sour note. Well, not end, but so we don't finish this conversation on a sour note. The despair is this. As a data analyst, as somebody who does predictive analysis on data, everything lines up to at the end of this flu season, at the end of this cycle, the government is going to come out and say exactly what they said in 2001. where they say we need to make sure that this can never spread again. This can never happen again, just like they did with the Patriot Act. They're going to say
no.
that here's
Yeah.
here's your vaccination, and you are going to need to have, and I don't want to scare the Christians in here, you're going to need to have some physical marking or virtual marking on your body.
Nope.
That when you're traveling from point A to point B, you are going to be able to be essentially tested.
Cool.
So we're moving to an island or something, right, guys?
Yeah, it's this could be
Wait,
Well,
they
they're
can't.
not
They
going
can't
to
do that
force
with an
you
ID.
to take the vaccination. What they're going to
want something
say
that can't be
is they're
easily
gonna
faked.
say, if you want to be a part of society, then you are going to have this, which, by the way, is biblical.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not
even,
doing that.
I'm not even a Christian, but no, I would never
So,
ever do
well,
I
that.
won't even
that's
fill
the
out the
reality,
census. I'm not
because-
getting a mark.
If you-
Right.
Why don't you do the census?
If you
I-
talk
I
to a
don't want
parent
to.
of
I don't think I should
a
have to.
severely autistic young
Shouldn't have to.
child,
Sure.
not a single one of the parents that you talk to, not on the virtual world, because there will always be somebody that comes in and goes, well, actually, I have an autistic child and I'm not against vaccines. Don't listen to those people. The people you know, the people that you talk to, that you can physically see their autistic child. And I guarantee you every single one of those parents are anti-vax at this point. I guarantee you. And but taking that completely outside, there will be an act that comes out that says you have to do this. Now, my problem isn't necessarily the vaccine. I was in the Marine Corps when the anthrax scare went down. I was on my way to Kuwait. They shut the communication off when they were bombing the weapon sites in 1998. So while we were going out there, they cut communication, and then they told us either you're going to get this entire anthrax vaccine series or you're going to be discharged with other non-honorable conditions.
Wow.
And so everybody said, okay, well, I guess what the hell, you know?
Wow, I didn't know that.
Well,
man.
Didn't
Now,
it
see,
turn out that the anthrax vaccine was ineffective anyway?
I don't think anthrax was real. I literally don't think anthrax was a thing. I think anthrax was the same thing. And I'm not saying this virus isn't real, because again, I had the worst respiratory infection I've ever had. And all of my kids had the worst respiratory infection I've ever seen. And their mother, my younger kid's mother, she had a horrible respiratory infection as well. So I'm not saying that, China didn't, whatever the story is today, because they've already memory hold the back thing. Because I didn't just make that up in my mind. I didn't just make that whole Wuhan that Wuhan viral testing facility that accidentally got let loose. I didn't dream that up. And now they're saying, "Oh, you guys are conspiracy theorists for thinking that." Until Tucker said something, and then they're like, "Oh yeah." But it took them less than 2 months to memory hole what they were telling us at the very beginning, which was Wuhan has a viral facility and it got out. That was the original story, but you can't find it anywhere online. They've memory hold it. And so now 3 months later, 4 months later, they come out, Tucker says something about it. And because Tucker said it, because there was a university in China that released a likely origin document that I guess Fox had got a hold of, or they published it, but they published it like 4 months ago. And so now Tucker came in and said, hey, why did nobody report on this? Which again is suspect, because I distinctly remember that at the very beginning of this.
That people did report on it?
It was reported on, but not by the
Absolutely.
mainstream. It was reported on
I
by...
reported on it.
Yeah, it was reported on by smaller streamers,
Yeah.
YouTubers. 4chan has been... Well, the 4chan team has been
Zero
at
hedge.
work. Yeah.
Have you
dude.
gone back in your history and seen if that video is still there?
The video. I mean, I'm just talking about articles.
Yeah, I read several articles, and there was a map showing where the seafood
Yeah.
market
Yep.
was and where the
Yeah.
Chinese CDC or whatever it is.
And not only
was.
that, but
I bet they're not there anymore
Ha ha ha. Let's see.
because you can't find
find
it.
out.
Everything is conspiracy theory this, conspiracy theory that with that now.
Right.
Until Tucker came out and said something like a week or two ago. I mean, I'm not saying
I
that
mean,
you
let's
won't.
fact check
I'm
real
just
quick.
saying that if you do a search, you don't see it.
I've got
So-
a question for you, Semper.
Oh, go ahead.
If anthrax
Yep.
isn't real, explain all the 80s hair metal.
Hey, I lived through the 80s hair metal, and that shit was cool back then.
Okay.
I don't know
so,
what you're talking
yeah,
about.
So
That was awesome.
So I'm going to interject a boomer opinion on this, as it were. You know, when you talk about chipping for a vaccine, you know, I grew up reading science fiction, comic book science fiction. I loved it. I was like, and I was adept enough to understand that a lot of it was a almost a forecast of where technology was going to go, because I mean, and as I've gotten older, I've watched as our technology has caught up with much of the science fiction that I was reading as a kid. And one of the things that I took from that is that eventually the monetary system was going to be inefficient. We were going to get away from money, and there was going to have to be some way for individuals to, you know, I always expected it would be from a monetary standpoint, that we would be chipped, that we would be our cred on the thumbprint kind of thing. So it's not, for me, this idea of the population being chipped is not such a far-fetched idea. It's more of,
I would hold up
this
my
is
phone
when
and
it's
say
gonna
we're
happen.
already chipped.
Oh, and I make that argument constantly
said that.
between
My
your
phone's on the
car,
other side
That was
of the table.
earlier, yeah.
between
Played a
your
few hours
car,
earlier.
your phone, between all these things. If they
Yeah.
want to find you, if they want to track you, they'll know. I mean, what do you shut your fucking computer down? You cannot do anything but get 100% off the radar. Never use any technology if you want to hide. And
You can't.
so,
Nope.
so this idea
Nope.
of chipping,
You can't.
right?
You can't. I do an exercise with people. Look around and tell me how many cameras and microphones are around you.
All of them.
A lot.
Oh, but they can't touch my machine. You're
All of them.
smoking crack if you
Right.
think they can't touch your machine. You're
I
smoking
have-
crack if you think that your phone is not recording. Do this.
Oh, yeah.
Say, depending on what you have, say, hey Siri, and see what happens if you have an iPhone. Oh, okay, sorry.
I've got,
Close down,
I've got an
Siri.
Amazon. Alexa, I have a Ring.
Yeah, I don't enable that shit.
Yeah, I don't have any of that.
I
Yeah.
draw the line.
Okay,
on
hold on.
robots
I
with-
got to shut
with
Siri
names.
off. She's going to start searching for stuff. Hold on.
Conspiracy stuff, most likely.
Working on you.
Yeah, I don't.
So
yeah,
I
draw-
get-
Is that a
robots
drone
with
I
names.
hear?
No, it is
Is
not
that a
doing
drone?
blow, Sidekick Bear. That's you. What I get for going to Owen's house.
So yeah,
Not really. I'm not really at Owen's house. Don't tell people I'm
So,
killing this man.
Semper, I'm assuming since you were in the Marines, you signed certain documents a long time ago, gaining access to clearance.
I had top secret clearance when we went over.
Oh yeah, you were chipped years ago, my friend. You were chipped years ago.
Yeah, I'm sure I have. I mean, they had a gun with 5 needles on it, and that's my point. But if you want to look at biblical okay, so I used to be a preacher for a long time, so you're gonna get Bible stuff out of me. It's just gonna come out. But you know, the biblical prophecy, at least in regards to how you receive the chip, is you are going to have to choose to have it. It's not going to be something they can hold down and force into you. That's just not a part of the deal. So whatever that mark is that everybody likes to talk about, I don't generally tend to harp on that stuff. But whatever that mark is, it's going to be something that you consent to.
Mhm.
But it's definitely going to be tied to commerce, and it's definitely going to be your life is going to suck if you don't accept it. So if you want my honest opinion, 3 months ago, I would have told you that it was going to be something like some type of a cranial implant to interface with your phone, to interface with your computer, because you were going to be able to do things significantly faster than you can do it with
Speed of thought.
your hands.
Wow.
4 months later, it's gonna be the ability to go out and be in society because you've had this vaccination and you're tagged in that vaccination. and it'll have to read more than just some, like they call it an
So-
invisible tattoo when it comes to that. At least that's what Bill Gates has called it, is the invisible tattoo. But it's going to be more than that. As somebody who works in the medical industry, when you're dealing with RFID chips that you have in your wallet or you have on a life alert kind of dog tags and medical dog tags, if you want to call them that, they have a chip in them, and so when you read that chip, it gives you a decent amount of medical data. So it's not just going to be a black light over your arm like you walked out of Six Flags or Disneyland or something, and they stamped your arm so you can get back in. It's not going to, it's going to be, it'll be
it's like what
something
you
that
do to
has
dogs,
information.
where they
Don't
can
you think
wave a
that
wand and spits out a number.
Do you think that there
Yeah.
would be millions of people who would refuse to have that kind of thing done? That there
It
would be
depends.
some form of
I didn't think-
resistance?
I call it the fifth light flag. What some of you guys are wearing, the N95 masks, or the stupid masks that people went to the craft section of Walmart and bought a bunch of
Dust filter
stuff.
masks.
Like, people are now starting to personalize them. Like, I was at Walmart the other day, and there was a guy that was working at Walmart, and he had back on this side and off on this side, and I just chuckled in my head, going, "Oh my gosh!"
They're
Like, dude,
I got my mask
seriously?
right here. Look at that.
Hey, yeah.
They're like mobile. They're like mobile no trespassing signs, or this dog bites signs.
Well, I did a stream where I think it was, there are only 4 lights is what I called the stream. So if you remember that psychological study, they did a psychological study where they had 4 lights, and they would bring groups of people in, and they would say, how many lights are there? And they would say, there are 5 lights. And then a good portion of the people would agree with them just because they don't want to differentiate from, what the norm is.
Yeah.
And then you had a group of people that would say they would have to go one level in, and that group of people would say, yeah, there's 5 lights because there's an authority figure in there, and they don't want to upset that person they respect, or they trust the opinion of the person they respect. Then you had one step further, which was peer pressure. They would apply peer pressure to people, and some of those people would change. And then you had consequences if you didn't see the 5th light, and then other people would change. So, generally,
it's also a Star Trek episode.
I was gonna say,
there was
didn't
a
they
Star
do
Trek
yeah,
episode.
and then
that
so
one was more.
Yeah,
that was
so
more
it's
to
one of
break
the
in
most
a different
famous
way.
Next Generation
Yeah, I know.
episodes was the 5 Lights episode.
Yeah.
And so I actually played somebody who had made a music video out of the 5 Lights because I'm a nerd, so I love my Star Trek, especially Next Generation, because that's what I grew up with. And so basically I ran through all that. Well, through those 4 sections, you cover what in the statistical world you call the 80-20 rule, right? You hear it all the time in jobs. 80% of people is what you like. If you build documentation, if you build a program, if you implement a network security, that type of stuff, when you do it, you're doing it to address 80%, because you're going to have 10% on this side and 10% on that side that is going to be outside of it's essentially the bell curve.
Mm-hmm.
So the 10% over here is flat, 10% over that is flat. If you want to put it in political terms, you've got your SJWs and you've got your truthers. Those are the 2 flat sides, and then you got the bell curve. So people in various degrees of compliance. So the general idea is to get everything into a position to where that 80% accepts it. Because if you can get the 80% to accept it, then you can predict who's going to be president. You can, predict who your senators are going to be, and so on and so forth. So as long as they have the 80%, they're okay. But if you remember, like you guys remember when Jordan Peterson was relevant?
Yeah, barely. Yeah.
The thing that broke Jordan Peterson
Get well, Jordan.
was when he came out and he did that little video after the Kavanaugh trial, where he said Kavanaugh, and this was the moment that broke Peterson. He came out and he said Kavanaugh should get the nomination and then resign out of solidarity.
It was just a tweet. It was
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
tweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was one
What
tweet.
he did is he overstepped the 80-20 line.
Yeah.
And then once he stepped over it, it broke the 80%'s view of Jordan
Yeah.
Peterson, and he just slowly faded off into obscurity after that.
Yeah.
He didn't clean his room.
And so up
Sorry.
until this week, I think they had, no question, they had the 80%. They wouldn't have been able to get this far. But something changed this week, and I think it's because people recognize what I've been telling everybody, because I don't like people thinking, I mean, because, hey, it may be hopeless, but my first stream on the coronavirus was we're all going to die, because the reality is we are all going to die.
Correct.
It may be tomorrow while you're, driving to work because you're an essential employee and you fall asleep on the way to work. A safe could fall on your head, any number of things. But eventually you are going to die. And for some reason in our society, we've decided that we get to live forever. And so what they did is they tapped into that fear, and it took off. And they've been doing this for years and years and years. You can see it with the Kavanaugh, all of those instances that you guys have had where you looked at something and went, that made absolutely no sense. And I'll give you a perfect example that everybody remembers. Do you guys remember that lady that came out and said during the Time's Up Me Too, the lady that came out and said that we needed to get infants' consent before we changed their diaper?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that.
We've talked about that on the show. Yeah.
Do you know, in my opinion, do you know what that was? That was them coming out and saying, think of it as a litmus test. How is
Like, how much
society
can
going
you
to
take?
respond if we go to the absurd in this area?
Yeah.
And then, of course, everybody responded with, that's absolutely ridiculous. She disappeared. Nobody talked about that story anymore after that. And then they backed off the Me Too and the Time's Up stuff. Okay, we push it as far as we can go. We can't go to that next level. Pull back. And litmus tests or beta testing, or in the computer world, or testing your hypothesis in regards to data. All of that stuff is necessary to get as close as you possibly can to the final resolution or your end goal, or whatever it is that you're trying to find, or where all the data starts to work. You're always going to have a variance, but you want that variance to be as small as humanly possible.
But one of the things that is a very big danger to this group is, to get to this point, they've had to build one of the largest information networks humanity has ever had, and they've given people access to it. That means the information exists out there, and wrong mistake at the wrong time, information gets out there, and the 80% suddenly turn against it.
Well, see, the problem is now, and this is one of the things. So I'm constantly telling people that all the crappy things that happened to me in my life, 10 years later, are a blessing, because I can look back on them and see. So I actually told this story, and I'll make it super short. But I told this story in 2 streams ago. If you want to go listen to that stream, it's my addiction stream. It's addiction, and then I think it's pride, envy, and sloth. And I meant to go about an hour and a half. I ended going like 2 hours and 45 minutes, or 3 hours, somewhere around there, because I got into preacher mode and it just didn't stop. But basically, I ran through the history of where my life went just completely haywire. And so I had a spine surgery in 2010. I damaged my spine in 2006. And so for about 2.5 years of the 4 years that my spine was damaged, I was on the heaviest narcotics you can get your hands on. Percocet. Every 3 months I would have 100 Percocet, 150 Percocet, 150 Norco. And then in 2010, when I got my spine surgery, my wife of 12 years was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And then the first weekend I had my kids, my oldest son, who has been on stream with me multiple times, he got his face ripped off by a pit bull in front of me. And then my job that I'd worked 80 hours a week for 4 years and only got paid for 40 of it, after I was enough distance past the spine surgery where they wouldn't have to deal with any laws in California, they said, you know what, we can't deal with your personal problems anymore. So that happened in a 3-month time period. It was the worst moment of my life. I was, Mr. Preacher guy from basically from about 18 years old on. And so my entire foundation was put into what I believed. And I did not believe that my marriage could fall apart. And it did. And what it did is it broke the bottom out of my world. I got ridiculously sick. I would go 3, 5, 7, 10 days without eating because I couldn't. If I tried, I would puke.
Whoa.
And so
Yeah.
I was still having to rehab my spine, and I was 300 pounds at the time. I still had to rehab my spine. And so when I got about 4 months into this process of after the hell rained down, I got to the point where I started eating again. I stepped on a scale. I was like 40 pounds down. And then I was like, I'm going to see how far I can take this. And then I dropped to like 7% over the course of about a year. I mean, I was ripped. I saw my abs for the first time. I was like, oh my God, that looks great. And so now I'm 10 years past that, right? There's a lot more information in there, dealing with the dog incident, getting over it, dealing with the cycle, not getting into a cycle, confronting it head on, figuring out what these panic attacks were and figuring out how to stop them without drugs, that type of stuff. But I always said over and over and over throughout the entire time from that point on, like I was never addicted to these hardcore medications. And I was like, man, like I'm lucky that I didn't, because for all intents and purposes, I should have been addicted to Percocet. I should be in an alley right now trying to score some Percocet, but keeping my social distancing, but trying to illegally buy medication, because that's what happens when you're on that medication for a long time. But not only was it not a problem, it wasn't even something that was on my radar. When the pain stopped, I stopped. And then I was driving, because that's when I was driving the other day, and it kind of dawned on me, and I went, I can't tell you whether me not being able to eat and puking all the time was as a result of all of the emotional stuff because of the trauma, or whether it was because of physical withdrawals from those drugs. And I still, to this day, can't tell you whether I had physical withdrawals from those drugs. But what I can tell you is if all of that shit hadn't have happened, I would be able to tell you. And if I would be able to tell you at that point, I would be in a world of hurt, because I am addicted to nicotine, and I don't want to quit. I'll switch to vape, but I don't want to quit. I like it. And if the pills were like that, then what links would I go to? I've seen people trying to get off heroin. A lot of, I know there's at least one person in here that's had to get off hard stuff, and it's not easy and it sucks. I didn't have to go through that, because for me, God saw fit to say, look, this is going to strengthen you. You're not going to understand it right now, but it's going to make you better. And it did. And if he would have asked me, do you want to deal with the drug addiction, or do you want to go through all this stuff? I'd have taken the drug addiction like that. Mm-hmm. But it made me stronger. I'm a completely different person now than I was before then. And so I think when you go through something like that, it kind of opens your eyes. It kind of makes you look out and see things. And I think that allowing them to do the things that they've done right, in the first part of this, and saying, okay, you know what, we should, whatever this new word is that you guys are pushing overnight, we should do that. And we should be safe, because that was the whole thing. Hey, look, I'm not telling you to just go out and start, doing what the dumb Z's are doing and licking toilets and doorknobs and stuff like that.
Why?
Don't tempt it.
I'm just kidding. Why, dude? That sounds great, dude.
It depends. Is the wallpaper the stuff that they had in Willy Wonka? Because
man, that would be some awesome wallpaper, right?
The schnozberries
tastes like
Quick question. Am I overly paranoid for getting P100 filters instead of N95s?
N95s is medical standard. That's what we're using. So, I mean,
Well,
the reality is
Yeah.
look, if this is something that spreads in the manner of the flu, if we're going to end this virus, which we're not, but if we're going to end this virus by sheltering in place for 4 weeks, and that's going to fix it, and for whatever reason this virus can't survive in a Walmart, which is like the dirtiest place on earth, but for some reason the coronavirus, you pack 350 people into a Walmart and the coronavirus is like, oh crap, I can't go in there. But if we can, like, this is the way I put it on my stream. Let's say, for the sake of argument, everybody in the United States did exactly what they were told to do. And everybody sat down and everybody didn't leave their house and nobody went to work and nobody went to, stores or grocery stores or anything like that. Everybody stayed in their house for 4 months. If that would eliminate this virus from existence, one of two things would happen. First of all, the entire world would have to do it. So we would have to, I mean, it's not going to happen. Nobody's going to, I'm sure as hell not staying in my house for 4 months. So I can guarantee you that as a result of solely me, you're not going to be perfectly quarantined. But if the entire world perfectly quarantined and it got rid of this virus, well, then it would get rid of the cold. It would get rid of the flu. It would get rid of everything that has a timed infection rate. It would all just die off because it wouldn't have anywhere to go. It wouldn't have anywhere to transfer, right? So, hey, by all means, let's shut the entire world down for 4 years, and then we won't have any seasonal sickness whatsoever. Awesome. Let's do it. The problem is you're not going to be perfect.
So
At
you're
best
saying
case
there's a
scenario,
chance.
you could be perfect in the United States,
Yeah.
but that's still impossible. But let's say, for the sake of argument, the United States was perfect. All it takes is one person on a freighter.
Yeah.
One person jumping the border. One person coming and visiting their family from Wuhan. Wink, wink. That was patient zero in the United States. Somebody who was visiting family in Wuhan came back, and then that was the first hospital person.
You bastard.
All it takes
Steven.
is one, and it starts all over again. That person, I mean, it's the law of multiples. That person infects 2 people. Those 2 people infect 5 people. Those 5 people infect 10 people. And then all of a sudden, millions of people have it. So why are we doing this?
Because China said so.
Because the World Health Organization said so.
Well, that's what I said.
Where
Because
do you
Nancy
think?
knows best.
Where did the word social distancing come from? Because literally within a
It came out of
24-hour
nowhere,
period, the
dude.
entire world
bro,
was saying
it's our grassy knoll.
You know they have people in Washington.
It
They
is.
have
It's our fucking grassy
They-
knoll,
right,
dude.
they
Came out
had-
of nowhere. No one knows what a knoll is, bro.
You know
Like,
they have
true.
people.
Yo,
They
nobody
have
knows
people
what
in
a knoll
Washington
is.
to do this.
Listen.
Think of a
And
keyword.
yes, I
Think
did
of the
very
snappy
well know
word.
You were the second shooter on the grassy knoll. Stop it.
No
You're
one knows what a
crazy.
knoll is,
I
dude.
think it's really interesting that
Jeez.
you've heard so many times over and over and over again that Trump will win unless the economy tanks. And it's like, the
Yeah.
economy is tanking. He's
Yes.
still gonna win. But I
You
wouldn't put
really
it
want to
past.
get into Trump?
Well, I mean, yeah, that's what we're here for, right? Let's do it.
All right.
Chop it
2
up.
things then on Trump, because I might piss a lot of you guys' base off. 2 things on Trump. Number 1, in the last week, he has endorsed universal basic income and he's endorsed universal health care.
He's
Both
a
of them.
Yeah.
he's a
Donald
social
J.
light.
Yang. Donald J. Yang. Yay.
Social light.
Social light.
Yeah.
Doesn't
He
matter.
is.
It doesn't matter. What happened? So let's go back to the last soap opera that we got with him, major soap opera that we got with him, which was the dossier, right? It was they were gonna impeach him. The impeachment hearings. What did he do during that impeachment hearing? He said, "I don't give a crap what you guys say. I don't give a crap what you guys do." He was going on Twitter, sending out tweets, taunting them, telling them that they're stupid, calling them names, right? Based. Oh, yeah, it's Trump. 40 chest.
Based.
Woo, woo, woo. So he's demonstrated that he didn't give a crap what anybody says. Well, now the excuse they're given for him accepting him, well, and it even goes further than that, him accepting the bump stock ban and saying, "Oh, well, we'll give it to him." him accepting the stuff that the WHO was saying, him accepting the universal health care. Don't forget that this is the guy who was bragging about taking down Obamacare. All of these things he didn't fight on.
Mhm.
So why, when it comes to him and he's fighting, then he should also fight against this other stuff that he's vehemently against. And I'll say what everybody's tired of hearing, which is, do we have a wall?
Yeah, I guess we have pieces of a
Did we
wall
reduce spending?
sometimes.
Every
Steel slats.
Oh hell no, we didn't do that.
No,
every
God, no.
spending bill that's
Hell
come
no, we didn't
across
do
from
that.
him, he signs.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm gonna shut down the government, blah 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 blah. And then well, I'm just gonna open it up so everybody can get their taxes in. And we're shutting it down again. And then he freaking signed the bill. Stop it. Stop.
Right. And, I mean, I've said this before on our stream. It's like, if our economy is so great, why does the deficit continue to grow? And then, yes, why didn't he take a hard line stance like he did in the beginning and just try and keep people distracted from this by saying the economy's great, don't worry about it? Why didn't he stay on that hard line track as opposed to going this direction that he's going now and letting all this money be printed up and go out to America? Because that is not what I would have expected from him.
Wasn't
How
he a New
deep
York
down the
Democrat?
rabbit hole do you want to go?
All the
Yeah,
way.
New York Democrat. Initially, he was a Democrat in New York.
Yes,
So,
that's the
I mean,
thing.
Democrat, yeah.
yeah, his values are
Well, and
still those
somebody's-
values.
And you got a good point. Somebody said the other day, what was I watching? Okay, so I didn't know who this Tiger Joe guy was until he got popular. And now that everybody's covering it, I refuse to run it on my stream, even though I would love to run it on my stream, but I just can't do it because everybody's already seen it. All my subs have seen it, so they don't want to see it from me. They want different stuff. So I can't run it, but I love the guy. Like these videos that are coming out with him just basically saying, "Oh, screw you," I'm going to say what I want to say. It's endless hours of entertainment watching this guy's political messages. He was sitting down, and I watched a video the other day. He was sitting down with these two girls, and he was talking to them about why tigers shouldn't breed with each other. And you were right on that edge of him taking the analogy further to where you're going, oh, no, don't say it. Ah. The girls were really uncomfortable, but he made one statement. He goes, if you take this type of animal and this type of animal and put them in the cage, they'll try to kill each other. It's like trying to have Trump and Hillary in the same room. And the moment he said that, both of those girls, like clockwork, like somebody had pushed a button, went, ah. Why? Because it's been drilled into their head for the last 3 years that they hate each other, lock her up, blah, 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 blah. But I created memes before any of that ever happened going, it was a meme of him at that fundraising event where he was laughing with Bill and Hillary. Mm-hmm. And then I did the text of like, and then I told him I'm going to lock him up. They were in the same room together for his entire existence, for their entire presidency and first lady C. They were in the same room together all the time. So the fact that these girls chuckled at the idea of Trump and Hillary being in the same room when they were so nervous about everything else, it was like somebody flipped a switch and they immediately out of instinct laugh because it's been drilled into their head so much that these two people hate each other, but they don't. He hasn't even tried to lock her up.
They need each other. They're a fucking symbiotic relationship.
The information he wants. He's the dadgum president of the United States, but he's released nothing. He was supposed to release a bunch of stuff on JFK, which is important because, again, like I said, I drive by the book depository every single day on my way home. So, that's a thing down here. Mm-hmm. So it was a big deal when he said he was going to release all those documents, but he didn't.
The
And
documents.
if you go back and you can find it in the stuff that they've memory hold, you can see over and over and over where when he was talking smack, he said he was going to do something, and then he just simply didn't. And that's the most mainstream answer I can give you when it comes to Trump.
Hey, I'm gonna cut out for the night, guys. You guys have fun.
See you all.
All right, man.
Oh no, I
Take
ran
care.
him
See ya.
off.
Peace
No,
out, dude.
I'm exhausted.
He's been here
I've
for a
got,
while.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
has.
I'm exhausted. I've got shit I need to do. I'm basically relocating to my parents' place tomorrow just because I've done 2 weeks isolation. So
Yo,
Thanks
see
for
you all.
stopping by, Seawall.
See you all. If you want to talk about
Bye.
that 1,000-year
Bye.
plan that we've been talking about, just hit me up, dude.
well, I know you look good, Hugo Boss man.
That's what I'm saying, dude. I'll Roman salute with you all day, man. Peace out.
Roman salute.
And I'll take it out of context and make a green screen of it and have fun with it. I just got my green screen,
Oh,
guys.
God,
So I'm having
Robert,
all
what the
kinds of
I,
fun with this. Green
I still
screen.
I was walking in the garden. What do you want?
I can be bribed.
All right. Cool,
Like
man. Take care,
I
Seymour.
told all the creators that are subs in my group.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need an Owen set. I need a Vox set. I need a Crowder set. So that's why I came in here with Sidekick Bear today.
Oh, I'm not sure who in this chat watches, knows what you're talking about. I don't know.
I didn't expect anyone. I mean, if they did, that's great. If they didn't, I was just going to come in here because there will be people that recognize the set. So
I
definitely
noticed.
watched-
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
recognize
definitely,
it.
I definitely know Owen. You're talking about Owen Benjamin, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I know him. And I always appreciated him when I hear him talk.
Back in the
really-
day before he.
I still appreciate it a little bit. I do.
I like his outlook on getting to know your neighbors and doing for yourself, and that's kind of my shtick too. So I appreciate his kind of like homesteading thing.
Yeah,
and then
that's the truth part that gets everybody in there. So.
And then I like Steven Crowder as well. He's basically like my late night TV. So
Cool. Interesting.
Yeah, I like
I do.
Owen's stand up. I think he's a funny guy.
But
he's a great pianist too.
I'll
It's
stay
better
off
than
that subject.
You're saying it's better than a sit down?
That's all I'm gonna say. Yeah, it's way better than a sit down. In
His
my
sit
opinion.
down. His
Yeah.
sit-
now that doesn't mean, of course, that I agree with everything that's coming out of
course.
either one of these.
No
guys.
one
they just-
agrees with everything that
Right.
anyone says.
It's just they have an amusing delivery, and they
let
kind
me
of
let
stick
me
it.
take that one step further. If you do agree with everything that someone says, then you have to question their validity
Yeah,
or your bias,
yeah,
That's
absolutely.
absolutely fair. Yeah.
which is something that we don't do anymore as a society. We don't question bias anymore. So if what you identify with says that the sky is green, then the sky is green.
Mhm.
Yeah,
and
fuck
I guess
that.
if it's kind of getting rainy, it might be green. So let's change it to purple. What color could the sky?
Sometimes
never
it's
be?
purple though.
The sky
Sometimes
can
it is
be a
purple.
lot
There's
of
purple
colors,
sunset.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How about magenta? Can it be magenta? I don't even.
Probably
I know it's a type
during
of red,
either-
but that's like one of those things where I go, oh, look at that red car, and whatever female's next to me goes, that's magenta, and I'm like, okay, well, it's red.
Yeah, calm down. Yeah.
I
Calm
deal in
down.
primary colors. You can deal with I deal in the 8 Crayola crayon box. You can be in the
Right.
6 or the 64, the
64.
128 box,
256,
but I'm
bro.
sitting in the 8 box.
We just like having something to be an expert about. So let us enjoy our colors, okay?
If you expand too fast, things can happen, yo. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't move on to those 16 colors until you're ready.
Now
Yeah,
during
no.
the 80s,
Can't do it.
90s, when I would go to like functions, gather parties or whatever, that would be my standard question, because I would be like, "What is the color of the sky in your world?" Because I could determine from that whether or not I even wanted to can talk to you or not. And I was like, "What do you
Well,
mean?"
I
It's
can't see the
gray?
chat. So,
I'm out.
so
Oh,
look at the
good.
chat. Can
That's probably a good
anybody
idea.
figure out a color that the sky cannot be at any given time? Because I can't think of one right now. I don't know the answer to this, by the way.
It's usually
Anywhere in
Yeah.
the modern America, you won't get a truly black sky because of light pollution.
Well, that's
My
true.
God,
Exactly.
Wait a minute. I think she's going on chemtrails. No, let's hear
Yeah,
more.
well, no, that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say they're coming out with a new Crayola color called chemtrail. They're coming out with that shit, dude, and it's like
No.
it's the best one.
Next thing she's gonna be telling us the moon's a hologram, and then
I don't-
the
it
No,
moon is
I
a-
love the moon. Actually,
Let's talk
my,
about it.
I
There's
don't think it can be metallic pink.
Let's talk
Right
about
now in the chat, somebody's going, actually, the moon is.
Actually,
I just
you
ate
gotta
a
do like
pound
the
of moon
glasses going up.
cheese.
Actually.
How can we know when no one's ever been there?
Well, and that's my answer to all of it.
I mean, I've
So-
been there. I mean, so it's all good. Like I can tell you
How
right now.
could
it's
anyone
true.
know if no one's been there?
I've
So
been
that's
there.
all I'm saying,
It's
guys.
fine.
For
Look
those
at
of
these
you who
Indian
don't,
guys dancing
I
behind
have
me. They
looked
got
at it with
moves.
a telescope, and it's my favorite photographic subject. Like I
Mhm.
photograph the moon more than
Cool.
any other thing.
Nice.
So I definitely think it's real and it's there because you can see
Yeah, but
a
it's
lot
made
of
of cheese,
details.
well,
though.
I moved.
Where do you think we
I
get
moved
cheese
out in the
from? You think
middle
it
of
actually
nowhere.
comes from milk? Come on.
No, but the light pollution thing, I think, has some validity to it. That
Yeah.
it would be hard. You would have to go quite far off the coast, or they say in like there's
Well,
some
and
mountains in
so
Peru.
I moved out in the middle of nowhere about 4 months ago.
Nice.
And got got on some land and stuff like that. And
God damn it, Steven.
it is there are nights where it is shockingly bright outside. Like to the point where it's almost like dawn.
Right?
The moon lights everything up so much.
Yeah.
Like there are days where my cat runs under my feet and almost tries to kill me. And then there are nights where he can't do that because I could see you, you little bastard. But he likes to, when I go up my stairs to my house, he likes to like dart in between my legs. And I'm pretty sure it's because he wants me dead. I think he
Yeah.
wants to feed off my body.
I mean, cats are assholes,
like cats
man.
do.
They really
and so
are.
I think he's trying
Yeah.
to kill me.
They
They
want
play,
seriously,
4D
look at that.
chess.
They do.
Is
They-
it there? Is it still here?
they eat you lips and
Side is it
eyeballs
on?
first, dude.
Is it here?
Well,
You know
they're softer, yeah.
Yeah, they eat your lips first.
So I had a
True story.
scab.
Yeah.
It was like literally the size of my entire elbow. Like
Were you
about
just doing the
2
white
weeks
supremacist
ago,
shit?
He
because he
was.
darted under me.
What the fuck, dude? That's like a hate symbol now, dude.
Yeah.
Are you trying to get us-
well, that's all right.
Some
I
kind of
saw
bigot.
Lily Singh do it on her show the other day, so it can't be too hateful of a symbol.
Oh,
No,
but
no,
again,
but you're white though, so you
But
can't do it.
white people are better.
Yeah,
No.
it's fine if she does it.
No,
You just can't do it.
that was changed during
White people are
when they
better.
were talking to the inspector or with the surgeon general. The surgeon general was up there and said that you've got to make sure you're wearing your protection and stuff. Or no, you need to stop drinking drugs and alcohol because that weakens your immune system or something
Ew.
along the lines of that.
Yeah, you can't
Not
do
if you're
that.
Irish.
That's right.
You
see?
wanna be able to go and see Big Mama and Corn Pop or whatever.
Corn
you know?
pop, dude, that's my favorite. Oh my god.
And
Don't even start on
some
corn pop.
lady
Corn pop,
tried to
yeah, dude.
I like
some
Count
lady
Chocula.
tried to intersectionality him in
Not talking about the
the
cereal.
in the press corps, and she was like, "Oh, so you're saying
Shut
just the black people that they're the ones that are doing drugs and drinking?" And he goes,
Only black
No.
people do drugs.
He goes, I
Yeah.
was speaking the language that I spoke when I was a kid because he's clearly black, right? And so she goes,
That's
"No,
racist."
Don't you think you should tell that to all people?
Oh
He
my
goes,
God.
Of course. And I'll clarify, all people as well. And so now it's not a matter of that because the same people who used to tell you can say it, but they can't, have now said, you can't say it unless you put the all modifier in there as well. So it's now defunct according to current society rules. It's defunct. Now, as long as you do it to everybody, you're fine.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Equal
Yeah.
opportunity offense.
It makes just as much sense as the inverse.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know where that okay thing came from?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Assholes.
Yeah. No, it was a 4chan.
You know the story behind it about how 4chan said, "Hey,
Mhm.
let's see if we can make them turn this into a hate symbol."
Yeah.
That's trolling on the level of
Oh,
I
it's
agree
fucking
with Islam's view of
legendary.
women. That is perfect trolling, and they did. Both of them came from that group.
That one and the "It's okay to be white"
Yeah.
sign that went around. Yeah, absolutely.
So
yeah.
it's just. But again, when you're dealing with, a large, because I do data, so I only know data, but rules for data
he's
can
a
also
cool
be
character.
applied to
Yeah.
macro information on a society as well. So, or at least I've been able to figure out that it can. So when you apply, if you want to get into the whole, soap opera between left and right, that they end up doing the same thing anyway. When it actually matters to them. Otherwise, they just fight because they need to run it 24 hours. Because if you drill something to somebody's head over and over and over and over and over again, then when they go to give a response, it just naturally comes out of their mouth. They don't even think about it. That's how I ended up basically going, okay, I'm not paying any attention to Shapiro anymore. I did that long before most people were doing that, because I was talking to my SJW aunt at Thanksgiving or something like that. And she was talking about, what was she talking about? She was talking about global warming or cooling or whatever they're calling it this week. COVID.
It's a climate emergency
but,
now. That was the last thing it was
But
called.
we were talking about climate change. And then, so I looked at my aunt
Climate
and I
justice.
said, look,
Yeah.
I'm not
Justice.
saying that climate change
Yeah.
isn't real. I'm just saying that I don't think it's man-made. And even if it were, I don't think the government's the answer. And my aunt looked at me in the face and she goes, wow, you've been drinking the Kool-Aid. And I was like, whatever. I don't drink Kool-Aid. You know, like I won't even
Too much sugar.
I won't do a lot of the things that are popular on my stream because they're like everybody's doing it. I want to be something different, right? And so my initial reaction was whatever. And then I started thinking about it. I was like, you know what? I don't even freaking believe that. Like, why did I say that? And then I could hear Ben Shapiro's voice in my head.
My wife is a doctor.
Thing.
My wife is a doctor.
Oh my God. Like, because I'd been listening to that guy, like it just spilled out of my mouth. Like,
Dude,
like
you're like
just
all of a
air.
sudden you're like, I need to sell you some sheets.
I did.
Like,
I
I need to sell you some
crazy
golden
thing is
sheets
that it
now.
applies
All right,
to
before
everybody.
before I finish my point, I need to tell you about birch gold. Your voice got higher.
So Simper. So
I want to tell you about Blue Apron that I don't eat because it's not
Guys,
kosher,
everyone
but I'm
knows
going to
that.
recommend it to you.
Everyone knows that you like birch gold more than
Dude,
other
to be
gold.
fair though, Blue Apron is actually pretty good.
Oh, is it?
And
I
yeah,
wouldn't
it is actually pretty good.
So
So-
I'm not gonna lie.
just to add in real quick,
We're not sponsored, by the way, but yeah.
No. I've caught myself
not
doing the same thing before where I was telling someone about something that Jordan Peterson had said, to mention
Uh-huh.
Jordan again. And I had started to have
Clean your room, Bucko.
I had started to have a slight Canadian accent. And I'm from northern Michigan, so that is a natural accent for me to do. But my husband started laughing and he was like, you sound like him right now. You're using his accent. And I was like,
Sound
I'm not
like
even
Kermit the
using my
Frog.
own I'm not even using my own words right now.
And
And
to piggyback off of that, let me ask you a question, because you may have thought about this question, but you might not have. But I've had people go, oh my God, why is every single person of influence from Canada or the UK? Every single one of them.
I would
Trump.
think that it's because we're like we've seen so many American influence that we're just like it's like more exotic to see it from Canada or the UK.
No.
don't
Literally.
ever use
That's-
Canada
I
and
think
exotic
I
Literally.
in
have
the
a
same
theory.
sentence.
I have a theory.
Virtually
Listen, first of
every
all,
single
I
person
have been the
on
most person
accepted
against Canada
right
in this
is
whole
from
stream
Canada.
here. Just
Like
saying.
virtually every single one of them. And almost every single one on the left is from UK. And then you got Trevor Noah that's from wherever he's from.
South Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
You've-
think people hear that accent and they like associate it with authority,
intelligence.
and so
Intelligence,
intelligence, or
yeah.
something like that. Like
Yeah, exactly.
the old
Exactly.
empire. This is what culture was, or whatever.
Well, it sounds more cultured and more educated.
yeah.
Oi,
yeah,
piss
that's what I
off,
think.
you got here, wanker.
Well, yeah, that's why you don't hear
Crazy
that
thing
particular
is we
British
can go
accent.
back as far as you want. Duran Duran,
Hey,
the Beatles.
don't knock Duran Duran.
I'm not knocking Duran Duran. I'm
I
just
am.
saying, go back and look at
I will
all
too,
the
yeah.
huge musical acts outside of Air Supply in the 80s, and virtually all of them were British.
I like
Oh
your
my
style.
God, I want to go listen to my music now. Hey, no, I'm not kidding. Air Supply, actually, I went to see them at Disney, and I had to go up and I had to talk to them because you go up and because they still tour, and literally they were the band that saved my life as a child because they were.
Oh, because
They
you were
were
in your
what I-
room and you were sad and you were just sitting there going, "Oh, by myself."
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it was they
That
Their
exactly,
songs-
that exact
their
song.
songs gave me hope that I could like get out of that one day and that I would actually feel something like love, something to that extent. But I would hear the songs and I would hear the songs and so I actually went up to them and thanked them at Disney when I went to see them because I was just like, fuck, Air Supply. And I was like, thanks for saving my life. I mean, you pulled me through some of the worst fucking nightmarish situations as a child that I could ever imagine. And you helped me get through it. I survived thanks to you, partly to you, you know? And I was like, that was really cool.
Beautiful.
But they were on the,
okay. So, all right. Just between you guys and me
and everyone
don't,
else listening,
don't say anything to anybody.
Yeah. Don't put it on the stream or anything.
Yeah.
This is just look, I don't see you chat here. This is just a conversation between you and me. And then anybody who's not in this, I know will pull their earbuds out or whatever. Okay. So here's the thing. Don't tell anyone, but you know, I liked Air Supply when I was younger. You know, my sister had Air Supply posters on her wall.
Dude, I'm telling
you know?
everybody.
I'm old enough to remember my sister freaking out about Air Supply. So I get it.
I'm strong enough as a person to stand behind Air Supply. I've
been known to sing an Air Supply.
I was going to take my life as a kid. I was going to take my life as a kid, and they helped.
I may or may not know all of the lyrics to some of the songs. You know,
I know every lyric to every song Air Supply has ever done.
Jesus.
Yeah, I mean that's
impressive.
How. Yeah, well,
yeah, but that's not impressive. The question is do you know every lyric to every song that Pearl Jam has done?
No, why would I?
No one does.
Right.
God himself does
Pearl
not know
Jam
all the lyrics to every Pearl Jam.
Hold on. Now, here's what I want to know. Who's got the balls to say that they know the lyrics to quite a few Nickelback songs? And we'll be honest about it.
I do.
I know a couple.
No.
I know
like got to be the Well, it's got to be the ones that actually have the balls to admit that they've listened to Nickelback.
Right? Yeah. Repeatedly, right? You got to admit you've done it repeatedly.
Let me rephrase. Unironically.
Yeah, again, yeah.
Everybody, when you bring up Nickelback, look at them photograph.
Okay,
that's a
and
fucking
then everybody
good song.
joins
Fuck
in.
everybody who says it's not. Fuck, it's
not.
a good ass song. It is a good song. Fuck you. All right, that's a good song about memories,
my
about
God,
memories of growing up,
fucking
man. All right.
canceled, dude.
You're
All right, Simper.
You might want to check your channel when this is done. Make sure
Yeah,
you're
I
still
know, right?
online.
Yeah.
All right, so Simper,
You got a hate
now,
mob coming at you, brother.
Yeah.
Simper, you have a
I'm used to it, it's
responsibility
fine.
now. Where's the hope? You gave us the
hope
despair.
is easy.
We've had
The
a lot
hope
of
is easy.
despair.
Look around.
What's the
Okay,
hope?
so the reason I told the five light story is because they're currently putting in place something to keep that 80% there. Because once people started looking around and started seeing that literally no one they know has died, no one. My great aunt died last week, but she died of natural causes that were related to what do you call it when they
Testicular
run stuff through your
cancer?
Kidneys, dialysis.
Dallas
So her
is-
kidneys were failing. She was about to have a leg part of her leg amputated. She was 98 years old or somewhere around there.
Yeah.
So that's the only person in my entire family, and I still have 2 sets of grandparents alive. That's the only people in my family who have done. I work in a department that's got like 230 people in it, and when somebody's immediate family dies, we get a bereavement announcement and we collect money and stuff like that. So of the 230 people, you got to figure that direct family, there's at least 5 or 6 people for each individual person, right? I mean, unless you're all by myself. And then you only got like 2 or 3 unless your parents are dead, and then you're all alone, and I'm sorry, there's no hope for you. But
Wyatt.
So that's a significant amount of people. Not one email saying somebody had even died, let alone from COVID. And so you got to look at those numbers, and you got to question, because let's look at respiratory infections. Raise your hand if you know somebody in your immediate family that had a severe respiratory infection this year. Yeah. So now raise your hand if you know anybody who's died of COVID. No.
Just a lot of
Do you?
secondhand. Yeah.
Like legit, or it's like second or third.
The second hand, yeah. Okay, I thought you meant like if I personally knew someone.
No,
but
I
people
mean, do you
who know people who died.
Is it somebody you know online that somebody died?
No, somebody that I've met personally. I don't know them well. I didn't know them well. Actually, my cousin, one of the girls that was in her wedding that we all knew, her brother just he was one of the first people in California to die of COVID. In fact, he was the first person to die of COVID in California. And the way that story was reported was actually kind of strange because they said that he had no comorbidities, and we knew him, and he had had cancer 4 years before. He had gone through chemo, but because it was 4 years back, they said that they didn't count that as a comorbidity.
So if he would have gotten a serious flu, would it have had the same recourse on it? Likely.
I don't know. I can't say that. I'm not a medical expert.
And that's where the issue lies, because nobody knows whether somebody had it or not, because nobody knows anything about. I mean, I know about the testing that happens in Texas because
They knew he had it before he died. He had been tested
like confirmed positive.
Yeah, he was confirmed positive before he died that he had COVID.
So, well, that you are the first person of anyone I've known that has actually said that. But it doesn't change like that. I mean, because I'm not even, I'm not pulling an Owen Benjamin and saying viruses aren't real. I'm not doing that. I do feel like, that it's a thing. It exists. It's not existent to the level at which they are pushing it. And they're having to recognize that now, because now you're starting to see your independent news stations starting to come out and ask those questions. Hey, why do we have a ship that has 10,000 people on it, but has only seen like a 10,000 capacity or 8,000 bed capacity, and they've only treated 80 patients?
Yeah.
Why is it we have hospitals that have that regularly in the summer issue code yellow alerts that indicate that the emergency room's full, and that has yet to happen? Why is it that we're saying that we need 30,000 respirators, and so on and so forth and so on and so forth? And people, the 80% is starting to see that. The 80% is starting to go, wait a minute, you've got smaller or independent groups that are willing to say, hey, why isn't this right? Why isn't that right? You'll never see Fox or CNN do it. But the smaller guys are starting to go, hey, what about this? What about that? And so the mask, what I refer to the mask as is the fifth light flags, because you're wearing the colors of the fifth light. Like, you are literally flying a flag that says that you see five lights. And so when I walk through Walmart or whatever, I kind of chuckle when people, are in the demographic that has 100% survival rate and they're walking around with a mask. It is, I chuckle in my head, not out loud, but I chuckle in my head. But if I see an older person, or if I see somebody who has, clearly has an immune deficiency or something like that, then yeah, I would do that during flu season. I mean, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
If I had that immune deficiency, I would go everywhere during, the flu season to do that. But the moment that the president said, we recommend this, the next day in my little one-horse town where nobody even paid attention to it at all of a sudden, half of those people had masks on.
Yeah.
And so what that did is that was another, in my opinion, that was another litmus test to see where's the 80% at.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I looked around. We always wear masks. You weren't here earlier, but I explained my son has type 1 diabetes and he's immune compromised. He had strep throat a couple months ago and went into ketoacidosis. So we wear masks during flu season. We don't wear shoes in the house. We don't shake hands with people during flu season.
Yeah, but that goes outside of this, right?
Yeah, that's outside of this. And I'm wearing
that's
a mask
what I'm saying.
now because I am not sure if I had COVID this week or if I had something else. But I can't take the chance because I have an immune compromised son. I probably wouldn't.
It's kind of like the Patriots.
Okay.
Nobody knew who the hell the Patriots were outside of Boston. before Tom Brady showed up. And then Tom Brady shows up. F in the chat for Tom Brady in regards to Massachusetts. But when Tom Brady showed up and they won their first Super Bowl ever, then all of a sudden everybody's always been a Patriots fan.
Yeah, no,
And so if you took those precautions as a result, you know, then yeah, you absolutely should be on track with that. The question is are you going to Walmart? Not you, but the proverbial you. Are you going to Walmart? Have you been going to Walmart this whole time, not thinking about it at all until somebody told you it was important? And that's the question. And that is the fifth light. If you have a reason to do it, then by all means, up until about 3 months ago, it's a free country. But, you know, if you are clearly doing it because it's a trend, or you've been told to fear it, or if you are that person who's looking up at the lights and you are saying there's 5, when you know damn good and well there isn't, or you just have some willful ignorance to it, then, you know, it's humorous to me. I'm sorry, it is. And
No,
when you start adorning your masks with cutesy stuff, you know, it's because go to the hospitals and you will see plenty of nurses with Hello Kitty scrubs on, but you will not see any nurses with Hello Kitty masks on. But I've seen personally 3 Hello Kitty masks in the last 48 hours.
Yeah, I mean,
they're just adorable.
And so, yeah, some of that's attributed to just it's fun and it's a trend, and people are sheep and they like a trend and they're bored right now. So, but I will say
So
this
fucking bored.
To your point, my husband, you know, when this first thing started, before anybody was wearing masks, I told him you need to put the N95 mask on. Don't wear gloves out. It's not. I personally don't believe it's safe to be wearing gloves around. I think it's ridiculous. Most people don't know how to take them off correctly. Mm-hmm. But as soon as in California, it was now mandated that we have to wear masks, my husband was like, I don't want to wear a mask out. And I'm like, dude, like, I get that because I feel like I don't want to. And literally the only reason we're not doing that, like, I'm not going to play this game is because we have a son and we know that we kind of have.
And like I said,
but we would be doing this
a compromised immunity thing there.
Yeah, we would be doing this every March.
And I used to live in Redlands, so I know
Well, I'm sure you just saw San Bernardino County now. If you go outside without a mask, it's either a $500 or a $1,000 fine.
I would literally go and rack up as many fines as I possibly. I really would. Yeah. I would walk out there and I would rack up as many fines as humanly possible, and then say, "Put me in jail for walking outside."
That's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah.
Do it. You know, I'm not going, and that's where the hope comes. So what I told, because seriously, if you watch that addicted stream, like if you get bored for almost 3 hours and you watch that stream,
it's quarantine, man.
You can,
we got time.
If you hit it at about the 30-minute mark, you'll skip all of the pleasantries and channel updates and all that stuff. So if you go in about the 30-minute mark, I really start in on where I think this thing is going. And oh no, that one was about, well, I kind of hit that too. I go into preacher mode and I don't know, like sometimes I'll look back and I'll go, wow, I said that. All right.
I blame the bear.
Because I'm just in my zone, right? And but I started it off with the Jubilee period, resetting everything. Because the general mindset is if you mess with if you reset everything and you just wipe out like they did every 50th year, biblically, if you just wiped out all of the debt, if you listen to your Shapiros and your Crenshaws and your Glenn Beck's and all the people he owns and stuff like that. If you listen to them, they'll, oh no, it'll destroy the world. It'll destroy the economy. But if you actually sit down and think about what would happen and what would it destroy, it would destroy exactly what it says it would. It was designed to do in the Bible, which is eliminate all of the people who are doing disgusting things. So overnight, your check casting places would be gone because they have nothing other than financial slavery with people. All of your student loan companies gone because, well, they may be all right because they divested into other companies. But if everybody started out at net zero, whatever you have, and you start from there, will everything get more expensive? Of course, because we would have to move all of our production in here because we would basically default on everything for China and stuff like that. But that would be a good thing, because part of our problem is that all of the major companies in our country are owned by somebody who doesn't live in that country. Do you know every domestic beer is now owned by like China?
Yeah.
Did you know that?
I did. Yeah.
We found that out
isn't Anheuser
because
Busch
of
like Hungary or something like that?
What happened it wasn't Anheuser-Busch, it was something else. It was like Miller. There was a Miller factory up north that there was a shooting. And that's how I found out. And they kept saying that that they made Anheuser-Busch and Miller in that facility. And I was like, well, how do they do that? Those are two competing companies. Well, when the market crashed in 2008, all of these foreign countries came in and bought up a lot of the companies.
Yeah.
And so most of the large companies we have in this country aren't even owned by people. And if they are owned majority wise by somebody, all of the rest of it is owned by people outside of the country. So the only way you're going to be able to do that is isolate it, pull it in place, and it's going to crush the rest of the world.
That's why Yingling is the only true beer. Just saying.
But I did it. I made an analogy for my computer nerds, if any of you guys are. I gave an analogy to basically say, look, it's like an operating system. You can fix any problem in an operating system. The question is how much time do you have, and how badly do you want to keep peeling back the layers of the onion? Because there's a point at which your machine will get so infected that you could fix it, but it would be replacing specific config files. It's taking applications that create dummy files to trick the virus. You can fix it eventually. How much time and how much money, but it'll never be the same. It'll take you forever to fix it, and it'll never be the same. And so at some point, you have to go, I just got to format and reload. It's too damaged for me to fix. I got to format and reload. The capitalism is not the problem. The problem is that we've been running capitalism 95 forever. And it needs to be reimaged. It needs to be formatted and reinstalled. Don't change anything. You're gonna apply the image that has your latest updates onto the machines. You're not going to lose any data because that's on your SAN or your NAS or whatever you have. Your data is all off of the physical machines. Replace the image of exactly where you are, whether it be the internet age or the industrial age. You replace the image right there. Everybody starts at zero. Whatever you have in your hand is whatever you have in your hand, and you go, and people would be fine. Because you wouldn't have to, you wouldn't be in this debt slavery we're in. And we've had a lot of people figure out how to take advantage over years and years and years and years. And now everybody's gripped. For me, mine is student loans. I will pay my student loans until I die. And when I die, it's going to be 3 times, probably twice the amount it is right now. And the taxpayers will send that money to a bank that is more than happy to let that interest rack up over time so it gets discharged when I die. That's called 21st century slavery. It's what it is. And everybody has it. You either have a mortgage or go out into a parking lot and play the who owns that car game. And you will find out that in most areas, especially apartments, stuff like that, you'll be going, bank owns that, bank owns that, bank owns that, bank owns that. Clearly, that person bought that in cash. Bank owns that, bank owns that, bank owns that. because nobody owns their vehicles anymore.
Borrow
Because
slave
the
to the
system
lender.
has gotten to a position to where they've figured out how to keep people moving. But the rest of the economy, companies, they start at zero. Are they going to lose the stuff that they have that people owe them? Yeah, but they're also going to gain in property. So, it'll be net zero. You have people that are going to be at +3 and -3, but it's the same thing. It's variance. And once you remove that variance, it's fine. And so I pointed that out of saying, we need to reset the system, but we're not going to be able to because society as a whole is addicted to envy. Oh, he's got something I don't. That's not fair. Sloth of, I just really don't want to work. And then all of the other ones. I mean, you can go down the line, but greed is, I want more. And as long as we have that, people who are in our ears on left, on right, and they're all the same. If you have over 500,000 subs, I'm sorry, you're being promoted by somebody. It's just how it works.
Right.
I've had that thought sometimes about who is controlled opposition. Oh, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say you don't have to go to 500,000. You can go up to 100,000. You're promoted.
Well, no, I mean there's still people in the 100,000 range that's owned, but there are people out there that say enough things in enough different ways that I don't believe they're owned. And they have 400,000 or 500,000 subs.
Yeah, but I mean, I also don't think just because you have 500,000 or over, it means that you're owned by.
But I don't know anybody over 500,000 that isn't clearly backed by someone or something.
Well, let me ask you this, because when we started talking about like Crowder and Owen Benjamin and stuff like that, for example, my position, I came from the left. I was like an SJW leftist come 2016. And I've kind of had an ideological shift. I started sort of waking up to some things. And people like that were the people I was not allowed to listen to. These were, Steven Crowder, Owen Benjamin, you're not allowed to listen to these guys. So when I kind of got free of the ideological cult that I was a part of, I started seeking out the people that I wasn't supposed to listen to.
Me too.
And
you're speaking my language. Some of you guys know what I'm talking about.
Oh no, I know exactly what you're
know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's how I made it over here too. Yeah.
So whenever when I get very interested whenever they try to cancel somebody or they try to shut somebody's voice down, I always want to hear more from that person because I'll usually learn something. But then sometimes I am listening to, I don't want to name names or anything because I think they're good dudes. But sometimes I'm like, it seems like this is like controlled opposition in some ways.
Well, so controlled opposition is one of those words where a good portion of people will just shut their ears down. Yeah. Once they hear the word controlled opposition, you're a crazy person, you're a conspiracy theorist, MK Ultra, adrenochrome, the earth is flat, oh, the moon's not real, But
like, do I theorize that people conspire? Yes, absolutely. I theorize that people conspire because we find out all the time that they do.
Yeah.
So it seems like more crazy not to
conspiracy is literally people working together to get to a common goal. Yes, that's everything.
Absolutely.
I mean, you can see it. So I have like a 2 hour and 20-minute drive. Well, actually, right now I have a 2 hour drive. Usually it's about anywhere between 2.5 to 3 hours each way for me to get to work now that I've moved out in the middle of nowhere. And so I drive, and it's interesting to see the shift in gas prices over the course of 130 some odd miles. And you just look at it, and it's like every gas station in each section is within a certain amount, like within 3 cents of each other. And then what you'll see is one gas station will change their, and if you live in Texas, it's usually QT. They will raise their gas prices significantly, and then they'll hold it there for a second. And then you will see over the course of about a week, you'll see everybody else meet that price. Mm-hmm. That's called collusion. Mm-hmm. It is. It's literally collusion. They used to go after stuff like that. It was called price fixing. Mm-hmm. Who does that anymore? Everything is similarly priced. Now it's competition. But the thing is that if you're my neighbor and you're selling something similar to me, or you're selling to me, then I am going to look at your price and say, oh, I got to meet that. So it's logical. Everybody conspires. So if you create terminology of things that you don't want people to listen to, and you make it bad, then all you have to do is dump somebody into that bucket, and all of the people who believe what you believe will just simply stop listening. Now, when you hear conspiracy theorists, you think crazy person, because that's the way it's been designed. So I try to stay away from stuff like that, like in regards to, controlled op or something like that, because they've really done a number on that. The way that I put it out there is listen to their consistency, because that's what it is. Listen specifically to their consistency. So take Crowder, for example. By the way, I was at the SMU show many, many moons ago. He had like 200,000 subs. He just moved back over here from Michigan. And he came to Dallas. And I'm a vet. I'm a combat vet, never took rounds, but the Marine Corps drills into your body red, yellow, and green zones. Well, when I go outside, what a lot of people who don't deal with that take for granted is safety. So when I walk outside of my door, like right now, I'm okay because I've got my back to, well, I mean, obviously, clearly my back's wide open.
We got that there.
Yeah. See, and I didn't put any suntan lotion on, so I may end up getting cancer. I'm going to get sunburned. It's going to be bad. But if I weren't in this set, there'd be a wall behind me. I would be in a studio, all that stuff. But when I go out to restaurants, I'm uncomfortable. I won't go. I haven't been to a Cowboy game at AT&T Stadium. And the reason I haven't been there is because I will not walk into a building with one point of entry and one point of exit without being able to have my carry on me, without being able to have any real form of solid communication, because the cell towers just don't work when there's 100,000 people in that building. I'm not comfortable there. So I don't go to concerts. And I could, like, I go to Six Flags with my kids and I'm nervous. My head's on a swivel and I suck it up for my kids, but I don't do that. And so when he came to SMU, because of that message, because of, that he was saying things differently than everybody else was, that was back when he was doing the Muhammad and the piles of crap and stuff. Like, he was raw and he didn't have, he would say or do whatever it was. Mm-hmm. Well, I went out there and there was going to be this mug club thing. It was right when he started selling, the mugs. It was long before Blaze. And so I went out there and there was supposed to be this after party, which was going to be a few people because there just weren't that many people that were Crowder fans at that point. And what had happened is they had gone over and SMU came and they were like which is Southern Methodist University. SMU came and kind of kicked them out before everybody got to meet them. And so I was standing outside on the street in front of this thing. And I'm like, okay, I'm about to get out of here. I'm going home. I don't like this. This is an open area. There's too many lines of sight. It's dark. There's too many people around me. People got their hands in it. I can't handle this. And then right as I was getting ready to leave, here comes Crowder and Jared and Sven coming outside of their security perimeter because they didn't want people to feel that they came there with a certain, they didn't want people to be disappointed. So he literally went outside to where somebody could knife him, shoot him, any number of things. And he stepped outside of that security perimeter and actually stood next to people and took pictures with them and talked to them and stuff like that. That gained a lot of respect from someone like me. Yeah, cool. But then he started giving it away over time. And all of these things that he used to say that didn't necessarily fit the narrative, they went out the window. And then you started seeing he didn't have people on his show that weren't a part of the Shapiro what's the
Intellectual dark web?
the MMA guy, Joe Rogan.
Oh, right.
You know, the Shapiro, Rogan. There's a circle and there's a hierarchy to that, with the beginning being Rogan and the end being Shapiro's Sunday special, right? And you have to work your way through all of the different shows that they have on the way up that ladder. And it's clear now, but it started to become clear over time. Well, then he got in that fight with Vox, right? I was already done, at that point. But I was done when he moved to Blaze because I can't stand Glenn Beck. Never have been able to.
Yeah, no, fuck that guy anyway.
But then they get to
he's it's Colonel Sanders is what he is.
Well, then he treated a bunch of people really poorly. Some of them turned out to be really crummy people, and some of them are still saying the same stuff that he didn't want them to say. So, but I don't trust any of them. I honestly, if somebody has more than 500,000 subs, I instinctively do not trust them. Because I know
when it's just like a corporation or anything. Any big politician, it's like when big is bad. I just don't know if the number's 500 because I don't know like how many of the people. Like I don't know everyone. Like I'll randomly see a person streaming and I'm like, I've never heard of this person. I'll look down. They have like 4.2 million subs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, the fuck? Yeah. So I just don't know if the number is 500, but it's definitely true that if you get big to a certain point,
I mean, it could be higher. It could be lower. That's just
it also depends on the person.
My barrier. That's the one that I've
5K,
seen. And it might actually drop because the person that was at 500 that I was like, okay, this person's clearly not owned was Medicare. Medicare was the one that was like, okay, clearly this guy is not owned.
Medicare is not owned.
He freaked out about this virus thing and started telling everybody the world was
not
coming
owned.
to an end.
Medicare's been around. Medicare's been around since like the beginning of the fucking internet. He's not owned. He might be taken by misinformation, but he's not owned by
and
somebody.
that's the way I've always. That's why Medicare is why my cutoff is at 500 because he's the only person that high. So now let's look at Crowder, right? So here's the problem with Crowder. The problem with Crowder is that he gets in this fight with Vox, right?
Dude, I agree. Steven should play.
And he gets demonetized and he's being shadow banned and I'm gonna
that's his deal though.
YouTube and I'm gonna get Discovery and then he takes the money. But
I'm not a big fan of Crowder mostly because he's overproduced. Like he's got way too much shit, and he's got his little fucking like sycophants off to the side that run his lap at every joke he
from
says.
a completely impartial standpoint. Here's my problem with Crowder. I mean, even outside of the fact that he
do it, Steven.
Oddly likes to wear a lot of female things, and
that's just funny because
you can sit there and you can talk about all the individual issues that you have with Crowder, but here's the one indisputable issue. Because when I pay attention to something, I pay attention to it.
Yeah.
I watch if I find a creator, I start watching their news, the stuff that they're doing live to evaluate who are they. Once I'm sold on a YouTube creator, because I run data and so I have stuff in my ears all the time, I flip it and I start going back in time and I go years. I have listened to the people that I listen to. I have listened to every second because I have the time. I have a 2.5 hour drive each way and I work with data for 8 hours a day. So I have things pumping in my ears at all times. And so long before anybody knew who Crowder was, I'd already gone back and listened to everything, literally everything. And so I knew, like, I could hear the changes. But when he got in that fight with Vox and he was saying, I'm being shadow banned. And then he got demonetized. Oh my God, I'm demonetized. Oh, everything's horrible. I'm demonetized. When he joined Blaze, he had like, I think 800, 900,000 subs because he was demonetized.
Right.
And he was shadow banned. Well, that was,
I
know it seems like forever.
Every single
that was
tweet
like
that he's
6
put
months
out
ago,
saying,
guys.
Every single tweet he's put out that says like, "Oh, I'm being shadow banned."
Yes.
Can you read this?
Hey,
I'm like, yes, I see every single one of them.
In 3 to 6 months,
it drives viewership.
From 900,000 subs.
No, but
$4.5 million.
That's how you do marketing. That's
that is no. He's
I am gonna
exactly.
That
is how you do it.
I'm telling you.
I want to say some words.
Sorry, go ahead.
I would like to
let
speak
Brittany
words.
talk.
I want to say some words. I let you people say some words. Came out of quarantine. I've got some words to say.
You got the floor.
Sorry for yelling. We see that though with everyone. We literally saw that yesterday with that hoax documentary that, they're saying, hey, they were pulled off of Amazon. Well, they were pulled off of Amazon on purpose. That was by design so that more people would watch that documentary. They did things to get themselves pulled off Amazon. That's just how things work. That's how how you get everybody. We are in Times Square. We are in the middle of the village. And everyone's screaming, and you have to do what you have to do to get your voice heard.
Right, John.
Yes,
I agree with John and I. John and I have.
I don't specifically like
Let her finish. Fuck.
I don't specifically like what he's saying all the time. Sometimes I think it's funny. Personally, I'm bored with his shtick.
Oh, hey.
But there we go.
Let me hear it. Give me some Georgia. Give me some Georgia, brother.
He has a business to run too. So I think attributing all of this to like, oh, he's owned, oh, he's this, like we all kind of are. We all have to kind of do what we have to do to like get money in our pocket.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything like wrong or necessarily like nefarious about what he's doing.
As long as you're not controlling what he's saying, then I don't have a problem with it. As long as he's he's taking
John
money. We were just about to say
John and I have a 6-month plan. We're gonna take that same tack because we want to get ourselves up to 500 subscribers. We're gonna take that same tack and drive viewership up. But before we go any further, I think we've got enough time for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 outros. So I think what we.
Yeah,
dude, I've been sitting here for 12 fucking hours. Yeah, we are done.
Well, we got 20 minutes left, but I'm willing to stick around if everyone else wants to stick around.
I'm
just playing, dude. I wouldn't be on stream for 12 hours. That's crazy.
I've got a date with my bed and my wife. So if you will, let's
I had a date with a bottle of rum.
I suggest we start with the ladies, and because I'm that kind of guy. How about some shameless plugs for who you are and where you're at and how folks can find you and that kind of thing. So we'll go alphabetically by first name. Britt, you want to go first?
You can find me on Twitter, like literally all the time, at Tweets by Brit. And I have a show with Freckled Liberty called Freckles and Brit. It drops every Monday-ish. I don't know. We're lazy. Sometimes it's Tuesday. So we're on YouTube. We're on Spotify. We're on Anchor FM. So check us out there. And also Twitter. I'm always on Twitter, so.
Sweet. Jessica, what about you? I think you're available, right?
I am. I am also always on Twitter. My Twitter @ is anarchytoward, and I really like to chop it up on there. So feel free to come argue with me. I'm down. And I have a blog on WordPress called The Libertarian Kitchen Witch. That's mostly like prepper stuff and recipes. And, if you like biscuits, you can check that out.
Oh, and then you? Holy shit. Yeah, I've looked at them before.
Oh, really?
I didn't know that was you. That's great.
Thanks.
Cool.
Thank you.
Wow.
I appreciate that.
Sweet.
Awesome. I feel so good about myself right now.
I heard that and I was like, oh shit.
You got recognized.
Yeah. That's wonderful. And I never write in that blog either, so that's awesome.
Yeah,
and then I also have a YouTube channel called The Jessica Green Show. I occasionally upload that to other podcatchers, but mainly if you want to stay up to date, that's YouTube. And you can check me out there.
Hey, Wyatt.
Hey, me.
You've got a place, right? I believe you can talk, right? You've got a voice. Let's hear it.
First of all, are you building a robot?
Wyatt is a robot.
Yeah.
Because I heard a lot of metal noises, and I can only assume we're building a robot.
Wyatt is a robot. That's called reproducing.
With the robot.
Now, Wyatt, tell everybody where they can find you and what's going on with you. How to get onto your business.
Yeah, so my two easiest places to find me is probably YouTube and Twitter. I'll start with my Twitter. which is Roundtable IB, and I'm occasionally on Twitter. That's probably the most of the social medias that I'm on is Twitter. And like during the debates, I live tweeted a lot, and I haven't really used Twitter as much as I have before, but that's kind of my main social media. Also have a Discord, which you probably would best find on my YouTube videos, and my YouTube channel is Roundtable Decision, and that's Roundtable with one word and then a space decision. And I've been doing a book live stream series. What I'm going to do this next Monday, probably around 3, is kind of what I was thinking. But once we get a little closer to time, I'll probably tweet it out what the actual time I plan to do it on is. But I also do a lot of like YouTube videos about news and philosophy and psychology. Since I'm in a psychology class this semester, I plan to kind of use that for my next couple videos and talk about some more interesting components to the class compared to the majority of the class, which is kind of boring. But that's a long story short.
That psychology was my favorite class in college.
Real quick before we move on to the next person, we actually just got a last minute donation by Eliza for $15.
Shut the front door. Eliza, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you,
That's
Eliza.
Australian dollars, so it's really like $3.
It's like not much.
I don't know. I don't know what the exchange rate is.
It's like 3 kangaroo turds. Yes.
All right. Semper, in your amazingly succinct style, would you like to plug your stuff?
Yeah, sorry. It was starting to get dark, so I had to come inside.
Oh my God, that chair is real.
That chair is awesome. Too.
No, the chair's not real.
No, the chair's not real.
This is
guys, nothing is real, man.
He's not real either.
Oh,
I'm just saying.
That would be an amazing
hologram.
chair.
I think Semper is owned. If I'm not.
I mean,
mistaken.
you should have known he wasn't real when he says, "I do data." You know.
It said Data, and Data's a character on Star Trek.
I prefer doing Picard.
So I'm
Picard's
sorry
a better lay.
Yeah,
like,
dude. He's a status fuck.
Yeah, Data's not as good and bad,
fuck.
dude. Picard's better, dude.
Yeah.
Listen, what you guys fail to realize.
Bald men are better. Sorry.
A couple people got that reference.
French, so he
Anyway,
does it
I got
dirty.
150 IQ right now. I had 147 in my previous one, but now I'm at 150.
Dude, even a dumb man knows bald men are better, dude. Like, even dummies know that shit.
I'm not bald
irrelevant.
yet. It's
irrelevant.
just not where it used to be. But
Right,
I'm also
Semper,
42.
where can we find you?
Sorry.
You know,
I'm
well, I'm Simper Reloaded everywhere. I don't have a Facebook because I hate Facebook. I have a personal Facebook, but I haven't logged into it in years. I'm old, so I'm not like really great with social media, but I try to respond. My Twitter is generally used for retweeting other people and promoting stuff because I don't like to sit on my phone and type. And I used to have an Instagram, but I stopped logging onto that too.
Nobody likes your nudes?
Notifications from time to time. I do have a Discord. The Discord link that I have in my last couple of videos is a forever active link. So if you want to join that Discord, just go to my YouTube channel, which is where the main thing is. I usually stream anywhere between about 6:30 to 8:30, depending on traffic, children, working late, that type of stuff. So I'm not, since I moved out here, I'm not incredibly consistent with the time, but it's usually between 6:30 and 8, and it's usually at least 3 times a week. I usually do a segment on Tuesdays called Theoretical Tuesdays, and Theoretical Tuesdays is where I take everything is game. So I take any conspiracy theory, just even the crazy psycho ones, and I put them all together. And we've one by one been creating this fictional story of how we're going to take over the world and move to the other side of the ice wall and live forever with the Fountain of Youth. And how we're going to control the population and stuff like that. And I basically take all these conspiracy theories. I don't tell you whether I believe them or not. And I put them in this fictional story. And so those are fun. We've been through banking, how to control the world, through media, the internet, blue check marks, all of that stuff. And how, if I were writing a fictional story, I would use these real world things to be able to do stuff. So I can't tell you whether it's happening or not, because honestly, you're never going to know. until it's too late. But
Right.
but I can write a fictional story about it. And so it's fun because I can play with anything. Like the way that we're going to take out the guns is very simple. I have directed energy weapons that are targeted through DNA, and once I collect your DNA and I feed it into the to the database, it will actually send out a frequency through, you guessed it, 5G. And that frequency will be the resonant frequency for your specific DNA. So you could be in the middle of a crowd, you can be behind a wall, it doesn't matter, and it will only take you out. And so then with the currency, I'm going to use carbon credits, tie that to my directed energy death machine. And that way you will have a certain amount of credits that you're allotted, and you can increase those credits or you can decrease.
But Simper, the real question, Simper, the real question, Simper, the real question is,
and you are jacked.
Simper, the real question is,
because I'm freaking evil on theoretical.
Wait,
Tuesday,
Simper, the real question is, what did you say the time zone was again?
What time zone?
Exactly.
There is
All
no
right,
time
so
zone. It's a one world government. Everything is whenever I say it is.
Yeah, it's all based on the Eastern time zone, of course.
So yeah, we do fun stuff. Right now, I'm not doing Theoretical Tuesday because, to be quite honest with it, a lot of the stuff that I did theoretically has started to come true, and then there's what's happening now. I never could have predicted, like even in a fictional story,
right?
I wouldn't have written the scenario that we're going through right now because I didn't think anyone would believe something like that.
Right.
Oh, I just say there's a virus out there and everybody lets me shred the Constitution and wipe my butt with it. No, that's not going to happen. People aren't just going to say, okay,
so you're so Simper, you're saying
their bunghole.
So you're saying Tuesday. Gotcha.
Yeah. So
we're trying to sign off
like,
here, man.
sometimes I just go live. So the
We're
best
gonna
thing
be
is,
at
and especially
Tuesday
with
soon.
what YouTube's doing to especially with what YouTube's doing with everybody's not showing up in the subs and stuff like that. Join my Discord server. That's where my primary form of communication is.
Do that.
And then Simple Reloaded on YouTube. Done.
There you go.
Oh, sir.
Nice and succinct. Thank you.
Hey, Steven.
Yo.
Have you ever done anything on YouTube? Is there a place where people can find you?
To be completely honest, I prefer DLive. But yes.
Talk about it then, brother.
I stream on
Steven
many
always prefers
platforms.
a D,
I stream almost every day. I do music, interviews, and
Steven is literally everywhere at all times.
Yeah, I stream a lot. I mean, I do 5-hour streams all the time. But yeah, I mean,
on
I don't know. I try
different
to be
platforms.
funny. I try to make music.
Like the Lawnmower Man.
I got an album coming out in just under 2 weeks, so you guys check that out. But just Steven Ignoramus on most platforms, and just Google me, yo. Use that Google shit. Get your phone tapped. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. I like to have fun.
Hey, Ed, I'm saving you for last because since you were so kind to take the hosting of this wonderful stream for us after technical difficulties. But as I usually ask on the show, John, can you let these people know where they can find us when they need to find us?
Yes, of course. You can find us on Twitter at the GenGapP. You can find us on Discord, where all of our Discord links are on our YouTube videos. You can find them on the description there. You can also find us on Freedom Scoop, of course, along with Ed and Steven here, and Wyatt, of course. You can find us all over there. And I'll shill our shirts, too, because we have shirts and coffee mugs over there on Freedom Scoop.
Shill, you're controlled, bro.
So make sure you go and
controlled,
check those
dude.
out. That's right.
Selling
I'm controlled.
shirts.
Yeah,
God damn, dude.
Right. I must
got a fucking black frog behind you.
That's right. Hey, listen.
I don't believe
the frog
you.
is not black. Okay,
black
he's
frog,
wearing a
dude.
black mask. He's
Black.
COVID.
Right.
He's COVID compliant.
You're right, dude.
Right.
Yeah, he had the charcoal. Yeah, I get it.
He's
And,
COVID compliant at the moment. All right, that's what it is.
Dude, I fucking get it, dude. You don't have to do
But
it.
yes, just Google the generational gap and you'll find us. Don't do that generation
Don't
gap
fucking do
bullshit
it, man.
that like this other asshole has.
We try to make it very apparent that we're the unknown gap, right?
Yes,
Right? I mean,
yes.
we try and make
By the
it
way,
Yeah.
what are you doing in a barracks room, sir?
protecting myself from crazy
Dude, being a
tinfoil
fucking
hats like
American,
yourself.
dude.
Right? Being a goddamn American.
Being
all
a
right?
fucking American, man.
That's
Don't make
right.
me pull out the rocket
Saying.
launcher. All right. Hey, and one more note about from the
You
generation.
mean this?
Wow,
yeah.
he does have one. I forgot you have a rocket launcher,
Wow.
dude.
Right.
It's fucking sweet.
That's is that a
Movie
javelin
prop.
launcher?
It's
Or
an
what is
AT4.
that? Oh, okay, gotcha.
Do you ever get to fire that?
Stream it, dude.
Fired it.
Yeah,
Well, it's an
stream
inert. It was a combined arms exercise and 29
Yeah.
palms.
I
Stream
told
it.
you it was a
Stream it or
movie
you're a
prop.
simp, dude.
That's
That's right.
You're a beta if you don't stream you launching
Stream
that
it or
shit.
you're
Fire it
controlled.
up!
But
Stream
fire
it or
at
you're
the border,
controlled.
dude.
That's it. That's
Fire
the
at
only
the,
thing.
at the fucking border, dude.
Fire
Yeah,
at the
dude.
border.
It's a one use. It's a one fire weapon, and so once it's fired, it's useless. And
Fuckers are
I'm
like
sure
a sack of
probably- I
cats.
mean,
Controlled.
it's
Nope,
really
that's
mad
It's
it.
at
called
Controlled.
it's called the
everything
brown
works.
the
So they
brown
do-
bomber.
Yes, theoretically, I could put
I'm
it
just
in,
kidding,
but
man.
once it
It works
fires, it
two
cracks
ways,
the
though.
aluminum, and
Oh.
so I don't know if it would explode in my face if I tried
Yeah,
to
I wouldn't.
actually try to make it work
Stream
again.
it.
So it's
What a
just,
way to
it's
go
just
out,
kind
though,
of a
right?
cool-
Live
Yeah,
on the internet
it's called
with
that's
a
called
behind it.
experimentation, brother.
Yeah.
Experimentation.
So I got
Hey.
this awesome set here with all my books in the back.
Yeah, dude.
Right. Before one more word from the generational gap myself. I gotta say, I want to appreciate everybody that came out. I know that we
Yes.
tried to do this
Like
stream.
as gay, you mean? Like
Super gay.
No,
Jesus.
came out.
Jessica,
Sorry,
you
I
can't
just
get
misunderstood it,
into
dude. I'm sorry.
Hell, okay. All right.
You've already been in trouble for that, remember?
All right.
Oh, that's
Sack
right.
of cats. Look at this sack of cats I'm dealing
Yeah, I
with.
was gonna say if we get it much closer to
Sorry.
midnight your
I'm
time,
so
I'm gonna start
sorry.
muting mics.
I'm so sorry.
All right. So anyway, I know we had some technical difficulties. We had to switch over to Ed's stream, which is greatly appreciated. But the main thing is trying to drive money for this fundraiser. Just so you'll know, this First Responder Freedom Scoop fundraiser is going to be available until our show next Friday. So it's available. I'm asking that those of you that have been here, joined in the chat and part of the stream, please, get that link out, throw it out there, mention it to folks. Let's drive some viewership to this video, or at least to the GoFundMe, and try and get some up there for all you folks out there in the audience that did donate. It's much appreciated. Those that didn't, please make an attempt to. And if you don't, much love to you as well. Thank you for showing up and giving us all the support and all the talk. And hush, Simper.
I have a
And
question.
Hush,
It's a question,
Simper.
not a statement. It's
We
a
have
question.
not. You did not raise your hand, sir.
Right?
And I'll get to you
were
in
not
a
called
moment.
upon.
I'm sorry, you're fake news. So where is ABC? Fake news.
On my best days.
But no, I just want everybody to know how appreciated it is that you helped us get through this 12 hours and do this. Every little bit helps, and I hope everybody stays safe out there and protects yourself and looks out for one another, because that's the only way we get through these kind of things. And with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to our wonderful host, Jay Edgar, and let you give us the proper outro. And I'll let you, I think Semper wants to ask a question, but I don't know. I blacked his screen out. I can't see him.
Legitimate question. It's not a statement.
It's
a
legit,
question.
dude.
Okay,
It's
question.
It's legit.
What is it?
Can we clip our sections out and upload it? Do you
Of
mind?
course.
Mhm.
Of course.
Go ahead.
Always.
Throw the links. I'm just checking. Are you going to freaking claim me?
I mean,
I'm just
yes,
kidding.
of
I'm not
course, but you
monetized.
can,
You can claim me. I get claimed every single stream
No,
for
it's
something
fine.
or other.
Yeah.
No, it's all good.
If I
Don't
even
worry
if
about
I
it.
even
We're gonna
sing
get
the
you
bar of a
shadow
song,
banned.
they claim it.
We're gonna get you shadow. We're gonna get you shadow banned and
That's
drive
right.
your viewership up.
I just want to
And we're
make
gonna
sure
make you be controlled.
it was called
after
being
a while,
cordial.
too. It is. Yeah, you're
Right.
good, man. You're good.
All right. Thanks. And Ed, back.
Well, after all of those outros there, I guess I'll take the last one here. My name is Jay Edgar. I am the CEO of Freedom Scoop, and I guess it was my idea to bring this together. I know they were already planning on having a 12-hour stream, but I decided that it was time to bring everybody together and bring this up. And after the technical difficulties this morning, I'm kind of glad that I did.
Yeah.
So I am the host of Contemporary with Jay Edgar that streams 5 days a week, Monday through Friday at 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm also the host of Ed's World, which we bring a guest on every Monday and talk about 5 stories from the news from the week. So I'm pretty busy. I've got a full-time job on top of that here, but I do want to take some time and thank everybody for coming in. Make sure you all go out and check out Freedom Scoop. We are trying to grow. We've got new shows coming on, including one person on the screen who is definitely going to be coming to the channel soon. And I think I'm going to reach out to another one here as well. So we're growing, we're changing things. I'm really glad that everybody came out and donated for all this, because the people need this, and the government is not going to take care of them. It's on us through private charity to come and take care of the people that need to be taken care of. And that's what we tried to do today. We did a really good job, and I do hope that more comes out throughout the week. I really hope that these first responders can get some of the help that they need and be shown the appreciation that I think they deserve to be shown. But we always end my show on the same note every time, and I think that's going to be the best because we heard a lot of crazy things throughout the day, a lot of news stories. We talked about a lot of stuff that was contemporary, so as we always say, never take the words of bloggers, podcasters, or journalists as gospel. Find all the facts and draw your own conclusions.
Nice.
Oh,
amen,
nice.
brother.
Yeah.
All right, so
love y'all ending.
I am all about getting some sleep. It's a weird thing that I like to do at night, and especially after a 12-hour stream. So unless anybody has any, shut up, don't say anything separate. Unless anybody has,
I wasn't even going to say anything. I'm not even allowed in the building anymore.
You've been like that. I love it. No, much love to every. Oh, go ahead, Jay.
Before we do get out of here, I do want to take some time and shout out everybody else who is not on screen that was also able to come by. So,
please.
Thanks for Harvey McLeod for coming in and hanging out with us, and thanks for Seawall for coming in and having the conversation about everything that's going on down in Texas. Did I miss anybody? I'm a little trembly right now because I haven't eaten since this morning. So
that one Christian guy, what was his name?
That's right.
Oh, Matt Christensen. Yeah, that guy. Yeah.
I do want to thank Matt Christensen for coming out and driving up some of the viewership here. That was really huge of him to take some time out of his day, and I know that we got a lot of viewership because he was there. And I do hope he'll take some time and, like Semper said, clip this and send it to his channel because I do think that is going to drive a little bit more donations throughout the week. So thanks to Matt for coming through. I shouted you out on Twitter, but thanks again.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. And, hey, let's get together and do these kind of things occasionally again. I mean, these kind of things are really great to get a lot of different opinions on topics, to get lots of different input, because, if nothing else, I think it's our responsibility as new media to exhibit the kind of conversations we want people out there having amongst ourselves and show how differences of opinion really don't fucking matter as long as you're having the discussion and hopefully finding some solutions that'll walk us through the rest of what we've got to go through in life. And that being said, I'm shutting the fuck up.
I really appreciate y'all having me here. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Good talking to you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. That was fun. Yeah.
Steven, would you play us out, please?
Play us out? What does he mean, play us out?
What do you mean, play us out? Fuck it, we'll do it live. Fuck it.
I don't know. Hit a key on the key. Hit one button over and over on the keyboard.
Wait a minute. I've been trying to control my language all day. We could say anything we wanted to.
Jeez. Of course.
Yeah. Time, dude. The Jews definitely did 9/11, dude.
Trying to this was. Jeez,
it was the Jews, dude, on everything.
You didn't tell me that beforehand.
That was you trying to control what you were saying.
Jews, man. All right. Peace out. Good night.